take a look there. There's going to be a little bit of a delay. I'm using YouTube TV to stream the game. So if you're coming here looking for like a live game stream, this isn't the place for that. Instead, I'm going to be taking a look at some of that stuff, and then also during like commercial breaks and halftime and stuff, take you through some of this sort of stuff. Also have some stuff queued up on like Huddle and NFL Game Pass from the last time they met. So very excited to do this. I can't wait to start fielding some questions. I think it's going to be really fun. I'm super excited for it. Obviously, the more interaction we have with you, the more questions and stuff, the better this can be. And it's totally non-committal, okay? I want to make that clear. Like, don't ever feel obligated like you have to sit here and watch this whole thing. If you want to pop on, ask your question, and dip out, like, you do you. That's certainly cool. So I'm just super duper excited for this. I think it's going to be an awesome thing. I am in love with this Ravens offense. The way that they mix zone and gap schemes, the way they utilize their quarterback as a runner, the way that defenses have to adjust now and start playing some cover 1, cover 3, and forcing them to take that deep shot or throw it to the sidelines, take away the under passing game, start to stack the box, all sorts of cool stuff. So I'm super excited for this. You're going to see me checking all around. I got 3 different screens going here. I got the YouTube live screen. Over here I have where I'm actually streaming the game, and then over here where I'm trying to stream the actual YouTube live stream on a different device, so that I have an opportunity, hopefully, to get some responses and take a look at your questions and all that sort of stuff. So this is crazy, I'm not going to lie to you, but I'm super excited for it, and I can't wait to get going. So one of the things I do need, or at least I feel the need to do, is show you a couple of different ways that Tennessee especially could start to attack some of these gap schemes and pull schemes. And I got people in already. I got Marshall, I got Justin, I got Vagabond. I'm so excited. Thank you for joining me. Always feel free to throw the comments in there. I'm going to do my best to stay up to date on that. But I do want to show you really quick how the Titans have combated this pull scheme and zone scheme when they met previously in week 13. So there's 2 different ways that you can kind of think about how you want to defend a gap scheme and pull scheme and some of this read stuff. You can either do what's called box, or you could do spill. And what that does really is, let's say we've got these 2 dudes pulling. So in the coaching world, we do this, okay? So if we got these 2 backside linemen pulling, box and spill really have to do with what this guy is going to do over here. So remember, especially when the Ravens are looking to kick this guy out with a puller and then wrap the other puller around and let Lamar kind of read that, what they're really hoping is easily they get this end up the field, and then the first guy would kick him out and just drive him this way. Then the second puller on the pull team, in this case the tackle, would be able to wrap in this gap and take away any of that backside inside linebacker flow. Okay? So this is the whole theory of box right here. And Tennessee has run this to a little bit of success here. When you get this guy way up the field like this, and you're hoping that he can just, it's called a hard joint. You're hoping he can just lay an absolute shoulder into that puller and try to squeeze that puller and not get kicked out this way, so that all of this space gets condensed. And if you box it really well, if you make a violent hard joint right here to where that puller can't kick you out, therefore the ball can't get out here, if you make this really nice box here, what that does for the defense is it brings that backside inside linebacker back into play, because now he can shoot this gap. He's relatively unaccounted for, whatever. Okay, so I'll show you a clip of that in just a moment here before the game starts. But the other theory that can really start to cause some headache if the Ravens aren't careful is the theory of spill. Okay, and this is something that Packer fans, if you're out there, you're going to love. Clay Matthews and Ryan Pickett used to be amazing at this, okay? That was way back in the day. I'm aging myself. I'm kind of an old fart, even though I look like I'm 12. Okay, so if we take a look at what a spill technique is allowing this defensive end, because remember, in this sort of set, when we got these pulling, these guys have to down block. They have to go take care of all the defense over here. So a spill is actually allowing this defensive end to come through when he sees a down block here, come through and just be nuts. And it's called a wrong arm technique on a spill. So what he's trying to do is take on that first puller, and if I'm a defensive end here and the pull's coming from this way, I'm going to do my very best, instead of getting kicked out and trying to box it, is I'm going to take my backside arm. When this pull is coming, I'm going to take my backside arm and rip underneath that pull. And then what I'm trying to do is get this sucker to spill way out here. So now we bring that guy into play. Oh, my fat head's in the way, my apologies. We're going to bring that guy into play, the outside linebacker, and he can start to become kind of that box player where now he sets the edge. Now we can get those guys to flow over the top. So I'll show you some film of that in just a moment. Then I promise I'm going to get to your questions. But I do need to try to figure out how to switch out this. Hey, there we go. I think I got it. If I screwed everything up, y'all let me know. I'm not all that intelligent when it comes to technology. But here's a clip from week 13 from when Baltimore played Tennessee previously. And Vrabel's good. Vrabel's a good defensive mind. But as we watch this play develop here, I want you to be mindful of this guy back here, this backside end. So the tackle and guard are going to pull. We're going to get the big down blocks over here. Okay? And as that happens, I'll put it in slow-mo for you. Watch that backside D end and watch his technique here. This is your hide, your kind of wrong arm spill technique here, where he's forcing it to the outside backer. Now this sucker's got to stretch. That's a great job by 78 covering that up. But now you should be able to get your force in here. Not a great job by that cornerback for Tennessee, but that's the thought process behind that whole spill, is to make that sucker get out wider, and then you should be able to have the ability, theoretically, to get more hats to the ball if you string that sucker out and don't let it get up the field. So that's kind of the thought process on their spill versus box. I'll be very interested to see what Tennessee does, spill versus box, right off the bat, and then how they kind of adjust to it, and then obviously how the Ravens adjust to it. So let's get to some questions. Let's get to some comments here, and then after that, it should be game time, baby. So thank you, Justin. I'm super pumped for this too. I'm super excited for it. I appreciate you being here, dude. Thank you. I can't wait. We have Marshall can see the screen. Sweet, we're rolling. So we're going to do everything we can here. If you got questions, thoughts, comments, concerns, anything like that, put them in. The other thing I'll need from you, so the reason I'm super excited about this is because as a coach you have to have kind of that analytical mind, right? You have to be able to analyze both yourself and your players and stuff like that, and take ego out, and you have to take pride and defensiveness. You have to take that all out and just try to look at it black and white. So one of the things you can't be like conceited in that, but you also can't be like modest either. You just have to look at it at binary, black and white, 1 or 0, right? So one of the things I think I'm really good at is I know that I know scheme. I know X's and O's. I know the adjustments they're trying to make, all that sort of stuff. One thing I absolutely know I'm terrible at is personnel. I don't know number 78, your left tackle for the Ravens. I have no idea. Thankfully, Reddit was able to tell me that the right tackle, number 74, his name is Tyre, which is an awesome name for a tackle, by the way. But you know what I mean? So I don't know these dudes. I don't know like who's the stud, who's not very good, who they can pick on. So when you take a look at football as an overall arching macro level, you've got all these X's and O's, and you've got all these Jimmies and Joes. So I know the X's and O's well. I need you guys to help me out with the Jimmies and Joes and be like, yo, that dude's a stud, or yeah, he's kind of garbage, he's a 6th round pick, we're trying to develop him, whatever, okay? That's where I'm kind of leaning on you for that sort of stuff. So we're rolling here. I'm going to get the YouTube Live. My apologies. I'm going to get my YouTube TV kind of up to speed here. Another thing to make note of is I can't hear the announcers. I can't hear any of that sort of stuff. So if there's a challenge and stuff like that I'm not quite aware of, if you could just throw it in the comments and let me know. But, oh, man, we got all these questions. I'm going to get to these right away. I'm sorry, Marshall. No, spill is the defensive scheme. Spill and box are just two different defensive ways that you can attack some of these gap schemes. You can box that sucker, and you can try to make that super, super narrow and hope that your backside inside linebacker can defeat a long block from a lineman, a long down block from a lineman, and actually get in there. So there are two different ways to play it that are the exact opposite. You can box it and try to squeeze that sucker way down and make it get up the field in between the tackles, or you can spill it. The other thought process is spill it with that defensive end who's trying to get kicked and make that sucker stretch out a long way, and that way you can start to get some of your safeties and corners and your secondary involved in that run game as well. Gap schemes are nasty, man, because they do a really good job of wasting the backside. So as I draw up, I'm just going to draw up what the Ravens love to run, and there's 50,000 different things you can call this, okay? I call it GT, some people call it counter, some people call it pull team, whatever you want to call it, okay? But as the Titans align up to this, let's make it really easy on ourselves here. Well, actually, they're going to run that to the nose, to the tackle, to the end, the Mike, and the Sam, or however you want to do this, okay? The way that they're going to run it is they're going to try to come down here with a down block. They're going to try to release here with a down block, and they'll come here. They'll leave this dude completely unblocked. Okay? Then they're going to try to come up here, and let's say we've got a box technique coming on. They're going to kick that end and ask this tackle to wrap up to the Sam. Okay? So depending on the formation, you could have a stacked corner, a defensive end, and a hawk safety. You can have 3 dudes on the backside completely unblocked. So the whole thought process of spill is, if we can get these dudes to somehow run and spill this sucker way outside, we can get them back involved in the play. The thought process behind box is, if we set that edge right here and we don't let it get out there, well, my guess is our Mike linebacker can beat athletically a guard in space. So that's just the 2 things that, the 2 different ways to play it. And there's all sorts of fun ways that you can use coverage. This is just kind of a 101 level of how to play gap scheme and power. So that's that, Marshall. So yeah, spill and box are both defensive schemes to take on some of these gap schemes, okay? Thank you, Marshall, for letting me know I'm delayed. I could probably try to kill some of the processing that my computer is going through right now. That might be it. Justin says, the only concern I have is Derrick Henry. Justin, I don't think you're alone as a Ravens fan. The Titans do a really nice job as well, as far as offensive schemes, trying to set themselves up, if you will, set themselves up for success, because they mix in a little bit of gap. One of the guys that I really like watching film with, his name is J.J. Leahy. He and I were breaking this down for when the Titans actually played the Green Bay Packers, and they do a really nice job of mixing gap up with zone just to make sure that those inside linebackers are staying true and making the reads and keeping them honest, and they do a really nice job of it. And of course, Derrick Henry is one of those dudes. He's kind of like Lamar, but a different thought process. So as you're an offensive mind and you're scheming things up, there's a lot of times where I'm going to go against the rules of football if I have a Lamar Jackson, because I think, okay, I'm going to put this kid one-on-one in space with an inside linebacker or a corner or whatever, and I just think that my guy can win more often than their defensive guy can win. That's kind of the same thought process, but the inverse with Derrick Henry, where you're like, hey, we're not going to block a backside inside linebacker, and we're just going to ask Derrick Henry to run him over. So that's the thought. Orlando Brown Jr., this is where man, I'm so grateful for you, Justin, because I have no idea who these dudes are. So my guess is you're saying number 78 is Orlando Brown Jr., and if that's the case, awesome. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Perfect. Thank you, Marshall. You're kind of up to speed on what spill and oh geez, I lost my spill and box are. Spill and box. So glad to know that you're up and adamant. There's going to be a delay possibly with my sound. I don't know if there is. Let me know, and I'll try to kind of kill some of the processing drain on my CPU. But there's also going to be a delay with my stream. Obviously, I'm streaming through YouTube Live, so you guys are probably going to be 2, 3, 4 plays ahead of me, which I think actually works out pretty good for something like this, because you can see a play, have time to type that question, and then I'll be able to see it and hopefully look for it. So just to kind of catch you up right now, I have Derrick Henry walking down a tunnel and with like it's like a promo thing narrated by Samuel L. Jackson. So just to kind of keep you up to speed with where we are now. I'm going to try to stay ahead on these comments, questions, concerns, and all those things you're looking for. I agree, Marshall. This scheme is going to be wild. This game is going to be wild. I've looked forward to this thing all week, man, for the last 2 weeks, really, when I actually started taking a look at what the Ravens do. They're so smart, and obviously, Tennessee isn't a slouch either, offensively or defensively. I think Vrabel is actually a really good defensive mind. His scheme actually, to me, looks like it's pretty sound. Sometimes he's let down by players, and that's going to happen. It's the NFL, and it's going to happen at college and high school and Pee Wee and whatever. So it's going to happen at all levels. But I'm excited for this scheme battle, this X and O battle between two just old school kind of smash mouth teams. So super in on that. Which teams, this is Bearded Buck Outdoors, which is a freaking sweet name, by the way. Which team's tight end has the edge on run blocking? That's a great question. So Jonnu Smith, in my just simple mindset, now again, I'm not very good on personnel. Jonnu Smith isn't the world's best run blocker, but Tennessee's got a dude. I should text my buddy JJ. He'll remind me what his name is. They've got a dude at tight end who is just an unbelievable run blocker. He's just a road grader. It's not Jonnu Smith. It's the other dude, but he's nasty. He's nasty. Mark Andrews has some grit in him too. He's got some pretty good technique, which is kind of weird to see in a tight end because usually, you know, the tight ends when they get to the pro level, you know, a lot of times in college they're that hybrid tight end wide receiver. Well, something tells me, and I have no facts to back this up, but something tells me that Mark Andrews was kind of that right tackle / tight end type of guy. So he's pretty nasty as well. First play off the jump here, we got Ryan Tannehill on a play action wide zone, and then Ravens covered that up pretty well defensively, so he had to tuck it. They're trying to get a little flood action coming back across on wide zone, and the Ravens did a good job. They were ready for it, so just a little gain here. So if the backside inside linebacker has a good chance of being run over by Henry, what's the counter? This is where it gets really fun. Great question, Chris. Good to see you, Goose. If you get the backside inside backer run over by your running back, the counter is either pull that backside inside backer or you have to drop a safety. And that's where you become really liable in the play action game, because if you have to bring a safety down into the box to help out that backside inside backer or to get more hats to the ball and get a box advantage, all of a sudden you're really, really hurting yourself in the play action game. So if you've got a running back that can just run over unblocked dudes, you can see the stress it's going to put on a defense, because now they have to +1, and that takes dudes out of the secondary. So great question. Certainly appreciate that, but we'll have to see how this all pans out. What else we got? Perfect. So hopefully I can kind of stay up to date on some of the comments and stuff like that. I do get a little bit carried away when we start talking schemes. So as it stands right now, I've got 3rd and 4. So just to kind of give you a heads up on the delay and give you an idea. Ooh, Ravens brought some heat. Look for the ball, son. Doggone it. That was a really good blitz there by Baltimore. I'd like to show you what they did and kind of how they screwed up Tennessee's pass pro here. Now right now they're replaying it where Brown has a little wheel route and he's not even really looking for it, because that's a good throw by Tannehill. But if I'm seeing it correctly, what the Ravens did here was bring an outside type of look right here and here and here, and then they can bail off on this. But what this is going to do is absolutely lock the Titans in man protection. Even if they do have a tight end on the line, you have to lock in man protection, because you have the possibility of 4 on the interior 3 gaps. You have a gap, and then whichever way they set their slide would be the other gap. But you have the possibility of 4 coming in there, even though they didn't. Even if they do go ahead and bail out, you as a protection pre-snap, you have to figure out ways to make sure that you're taken care of. So what they did, from my recollection, is they drugged the nose across and shot the backer in, which made that tailback, whoever it was, if it was Henry or somebody else, have to step up really quick into the pocket, and then Tannehill knew he had to get that ball out early. So nice defensive little stand there by the Ravens to start this sucker off. I'm really excited to see how this is going to come out. Now this is why I've been watching it, man. Now we got the Ravens on offense. Pumped for this. I see the questions. I'll get to them in just a second, but look at how condensed they are formationally. There it is. Just a sweet little gap scheme. Oh, poor number 77 got dumped. I believe that's their left guard pulling around. That's a great shock and shed by, I think it was 92, and I don't know that guy, by 92, the 3-tech on Tennessee. So the backside, the left side guard, number 77, tried to pull around and kick out, and that was a box technique that we saw from Tennessee right off the bat. And that D tackle that 77 was trying to kick out just got up into him and just slammed him down. So, my apologies. I am way getting away from these questions here. Both these teams have good, Alex, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Both these teams have good running quarterbacks. How do most teams try to counter this as a team? A couple of things you can do. Again, it's really tough defensively because you have to take a man out of either the pass rush or the secondary scheme. But a lot of them use what's called a spy, or it could be a nickel backer or an inside linebacker, and they'll just spy and trace where that quarterback goes. There's different things that you can do with a spy too. You can show him in a rush game to start to set some of the offensive line protection, and then bail him out and try to use him to rob or getting some of those quick passing lanes. But usually when you have a mobile quarterback or somebody who can hurt you in the run game, you're going to try to spy that with a linebacker. And then the edges, the defensive ends, have to do their very best to keep him in the pocket. And that's where I'm really interested to see with Tennessee what they're going to do here. So some hard, heavy play action. That was a good crossing route, but nice coverage from 31, getting his hands in there and mixing it up a little bit. Goose, drop a safety and hope your cornerbacks can cover is exactly right, man. I mean, if you have to +1 in the box, you got to squeeze a guy down and just really, really hope your corners can cover. So here we go, some Ravens offense. Thank you, Marshall. You're kind of reiterating what I'm thinking. Bearded Buck outdoors, not having Ingram maybe too much. Yeah, Ingram hurts you because that's just another dude who can pummel inside. So not having that may make them run Jackson between the tackles a little bit more. And from the film I've been studying, they're not afraid to run Jackson. Oh, yes sir, 41. Run your lane, kid. Run your lane. That's a great special teams play. My apologies, I get sidetracked here. Levine Sr., that's a great lane discipline and a good job by the Gunners to force that sucker back inside on the punt return. Yeah, not having that bruiser, that punisher. Now, a lot of you have hit me up a little bit on this Gus Edwards kid. I don't know anything about him, but I don't know if he can be a little bit of a bruiser too. But from the film I've seen, the Ravens are not afraid to run Lamar Jackson through the tackles either. And that might be the difference between these two quarterbacks is Lamar Jackson can go tackle to tackle, so you can run some GT and some counter, and you can still have run plays out of empty with that dude. I don't know how willing they are to use Tannehill between the tackles. To be honest, I haven't studied enough film on that. Marshall says they just pulled 2. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's that kind of GT look that they really like doing. You'll see it in the passing play to the tight end running the dig. Yeah, they love, one of the things they love to do, and this is why Gap's team is nasty, is you can really do some really fun things in pass protection when you're running play action. Okay, so these linebackers here, the 2 inside linebackers are 1, depending on the defensive formation, could be 3. Okay, but what they're doing is keying the guard's helmet. So when the guard comes off, that's how they know what the play is going to be, or at least have the guess. So what the Ravens like to do is you can set the edge with an H or a tight end, or you can even set the edge with a tailback. It doesn't matter. But they love to pull linemen and pass pro. So this is kind of like man slide, except you're pulling these guys and not letting them get down the field. So in a defensive set, if you have a defensive end here, say you have a nose here, a 3 tech here, a 5 tech here, are your defensive ends, and then you got a backer coming off the edge, whatever, they'll send either the tailback or the tight end here to kick out this end. They'll send the center back on that nose or that lower shade, and then these two will just go ahead and pull around and wall off. Now that really screws this kid, right? So that's what they're trying to do here with that Andrews play, is they're trying to drag him across and get that Mike, because when the Mike sees pull, he's got to think run. He's like, crap, this is a run play. I have to go hit my run fits and stack and track. Okay? So that's where play action for a gap team really, really is nice, because you pull that Mike backer out of this window, right? Now all of a sudden he's in here. You should have this big window opened up. But this 31 kid, I think he was playing nickel here, did a nice job of recognizing it, attaching to the hip, and running across the formation with Andrews to break that up. Coach, your classes have been helpful as well. I was able to actually see that in real time. I'm glad to hear it, Marshall. Anytime we can all get better at football, I think we're just better off. I think it kind of floats all boats. We got a little bit of wide zone here with Derrick Henry, and that's where I'm saying, it's going to take 2 or 3 to tackle him. So if you saw the safety come down like an absolute missile, that's what it was about. You gotta really watch for that sort of stuff. Gus Edwards is amazing. Keep an eye on 35. Thank you for that, Justin. I certainly will. I don't know the dude. Justin, if you could, because you seem to be much more insightful than I, is he kind of more of a bruiser, or is he like a little scat back, or can he run pretty tough between the tackles? If you could let me know on that for number 35, Gus Edwards. Another inside zone. This 58 linebacker for the Ravens, so far he's been all over the field. He's been the dude. He's not getting all the tackles, but he has taken on the blocks to allow his buddy, that backside inside backer, to just run free, and that's kind of shutting down Henry a little bit. I don't want to say shutting down Henry, because dude's probably at 4 yards a carry or something right now, but that 58 is playing tough right now. That is a very, very physical job, so we'll see how that continues as the game goes on. My apologies here. I'm just blowing up, so we'll just silence all of that. I'm not worried about all that. Tannehill with a wheel route. That's what you're looking for. 44 Humphrey. You're on an island there. it's 3rd and 3, so you've got a stacked box, and especially when the Titans come out in a trips tight look, your point man number 11 is going to be the guy who has to get jammed at the line of scrimmage because the other dude is the off receiver, the slot receiver who's off the line. So 11, if you're playing man, is the guy who's got to get jammed. So Brown's going to go ahead and take that outside release, and it's one-on-one. Sometimes the offense just wins. I think that was pretty good coverage. It's just sometimes the offense wins. All right, so they could go to a 5-2 front to combat this run scheme, put their best DB on Brown and bracket the other receiver. You could, but if you just go to a 5-2 scheme, you're really hoping that the offense is coming out in a heavy personnel set. 5-2 scheme, if you keep a 7-man box like that and they go to 10 personnel, or they just use their personnel existing and they get to empty, your two outside linebackers are going to be in wild conflict then. So the two guys on the edge, I'll show you here real quick what a 5-2 could look like against 10 personnel. Okay? So offense in green, we'll put the quarterback and tailback here, just assuming it's 10 personnel or even whatever personnel set you're in. It's a wide set. Oh, that's a false start. You can't do that. That's cheating. Tennessee's cheating. Okay, so your outside linebacker would be here. Then in a traditional 5-2, you'd have your defensive tackle or defensive end, whatever you want to call them there, here, and an outside linebacker here, and then 2 inside linebackers here. Okay, so if Tennessee uses the existing personnel on the field and just gets into a standard, let's say they get into a 2+2 set or a 2x2 look here, you're in real trouble. If you're going to keep that 5-2 box, now because you've got 7 dudes in the box, you're literally going to have to play man here with safeties on slots, and you have nobody over the top. Okay, because you're just out of dudes. It's 4-on-4 there. You can play some catch 4 and stuff like that and ask these dudes to hit the flats, but it's probably not going to happen. That's too much ground to cover. So a 5-2, you're just begging the offense to come out in a heavy personnel set and kind of condense that formation down. Otherwise, if you're in a 5-2 base and the offense comes out in any sort of spread look, you have to break that base and then get those outside linebackers out, and then you just have a 5-man box and you have to reset some of your alignment and stuff like that. It's a lot of communication that has to occur. We got a nice little dig route here from Brown and a great window again from Tannehill. My apologies, I was on the whiteboard, so I didn't see if that was play action or not, but the way that middle of the field opened up, that dig route to Brown, if somebody could let me know in the comments if that was play action or not, certainly looked like it the way the middle of the field opened up, unless they're running some sort of Tampa 2. Just a little bit of wide zone again. Oh, man. 48 again. Like 48 and 90 been playing well, too. So in the little bit of Ravens film that I watch, and I usually concentrate on the offense, but this 48 kid, now first of all, this 48 is a linebacker for Baltimore. He is an absolute coverage liability. Like if I'm Tennessee, I'm going to do everything I can formationally to get him in the flats against a fast kid because he's just not very good at coveraging. But what he is an absolute missile in the run game. Like this 48 kid is just nasty in the run game, but definitely a coverage liability. So if I'm Tennessee, I'm going to do everything I can to run away from that dude, but then put him in conflict like they're doing right here in the throw game. So you see that 48 came down, that's Jonnu Smith with the catch. That 48 on play action was just up the field, right? That gives you a nice little window. My apologies, I get away from the comments again. Thank you, Justin. Edwards is the bruiser. Dobbins is the fast guy. Dobbins was that Ohio State kid. Thank you for the update on that. Certainly appreciate it. Did the Titans go to a jumbo set before that flag? I didn't see if they were unbalanced or not. They were definitely a heavy tight end set on that false start. Good question, Marshall. That was definitely a heavy set. I don't know if it was jumbo or not. I didn't see if they went unbalanced. But one really fun thing to watch is watch the Ravens go unbalanced a lot. Like they're nasty when they do that. That's a lot of fun. Excuse me for just a moment here. I got to get my, I really try to avoid, like I don't drink pop and I really try to avoid energy drinks as much as I can, but I'm just having so much fun and I don't want it to end that I gotta have a little bang here. I'll be right back. Excuse me. It looks like 48 is Patrick Queen. Okay, yeah, I've heard that name then. Okay, yep. I've heard that name because I do a lot of work with the Green Bay Packers. So this isn't a jumbo set, Marshall. This is, my apologies, I'll get back to that. First and goal here where they're running wide zone with Derrick Henry. That's not a jumbo set. That's just an overload tight end formation. I'll show you what that looks like here. A lot of times Tennessee loves to run tight end wing. So We'll take a look here, but 99 just knifed through on the inside of wide zone. He was guessing. He knew that was coming. Watch that to burn him a little bit if Tennessee does go to any sort of trap game or gap scheme stuff later on. But I've heard that Patrick Queen name quite a bit, simply because I do a whole lot of work with the Packers, and there's some people who were saying they should have drafted him and stuff like that. So really interesting look from Tennessee here, where they went with what's called trade, where they went heavy formation and then just used the existing personnel on the field to get a mismatch and get a touchdown. That should be. I don't want to criticize officials. I'm not going to say what I was thinking there, but really, if we're just looking at X's and O's, Marshall, I'm going to kind of take your question into account on this while I'm showing you what Tennessee did there. So what tight end wing is put a tight end on the line and then use your heavier set in a wing. So this might be another tight end. Watching the game last night, I saw the Buccaneers do something I thought was really cool, where they did it like this, like a super heavy tight end set. You have to have one of these guys on the line and then the other two off the line. So this is a wing formation. This is what we call either king or queen in here by the F. But when they're doing that, what they're looking for, you have to have these guys off the line so that H is still eligible to go out for a pass. But they're just looking to create what's called surfaces or gaps in the run game. So when you overload with a tight end look like this, let's just say it's tight end wing here with the H and Y, you always had this gap here, the C gap, but now the defense has to account for what's called D gap, or that gap right outside the H, and they have to account for another gap that you've created there by putting that Y in a wing. So now you've got an overload set. So it's not quite a jumbo formation. Jumbo usually includes an unbalanced look, and what unbalanced is usually the center is the center or the middle of the offensive line. This is an unbalanced look where you can put the center wherever you want him, okay, wherever the snap comes from. But teams like to go to this, and they try to do it out of kind of a quicker tempo set so that they can keep this here and maybe keep a tight end here and get the defense in a really tough spot because they've created more gaps. So you have A, B, C, now you have D, and then just another one to create. So it's just different ways to get that defense a little bit gap unsound. So what Tennessee did on that touchdown was use what's called trade. And I'm not going to remember the exact formation that they switched it from, but I'll show you one of the ways that we use trade at a high school level. Okay? So let's just say theoretically they came out in this formation. Okay? Double tight wing. This is an ace wing type of look, double tight, double wing. Okay, and what that tells the defense out of this personnel group that they have in the ball game is, yo, we're going to run the ball. It's especially lethal in short yardage or red zone situations. So they get into a run-stopping call. And then right before the snap, what they can do is make a call. So what we do is we just call trade. Okay, and then these guys went out to all sorts of different positions. So now you got to look like this and this. And then you also shifted the tailback out. I don't remember which side he went to, but you went from a really condensed run-looking formation where you're adding all these gaps to all of a sudden you're in empty. And what you're doing, now one thing with trade is it's not like motion, okay? If you trade, everybody's got to go out and fly and then get set for at least a second before you snap the ball. None of these dudes can be moving if you use trade, okay? It's just one of the rules to try to help the defense, okay? But what that does is forces the defense to get into a communication set. So where they were previously probably 8 in the box, ready to stop the run, now they got to spread out, they got to fly out, do everything they have to do. You can get that X and then that H across, which is, I think, if I saw it right, what happened on the touchdown. And usually what that does is when defenses get into a panic situation where they have to adjust quickly on the fly, like what trade gives you, then usually defenses just go to man. They go very vanilla. Okay, they get out of everything just to make sure that they have everybody covered up. And that's what we saw there on that touchdown where number 44 was, I don't want to say he was a victim of pass interference, but 11 and 44 had a nice little battle there in the end zone, is all I'm saying. Okay? My apologies, I'm falling behind on the questions again. But I'm not going to say anything there. I have my thoughts and my feelings, but I would also hate to be an official. So there we go. Drew Singer says, looked like OPI to me. They were fighting a bit, but it looks like a push-off. And I'm not going to say anything, but it is what it is. I can't criticize officials because I would be a miserable official. I found that out, and Powder Puff Football homecoming week that being an official sucks. Here's GT again, but this is a GT read look that the Ravens just ran on that completion to Brown. So what you saw was G&T, that guard and tackle pull, and this is actually a true RPO with what's called a gift route on the backside. Okay, so Lamar's everybody on the offensive line is thinking this is a run. Everybody thinks it's a run. The only two people who know it's not a run is the X receiver here, who is number 15. Okay, he's going to run that little snag route. And then the quarterback knows as well. So the running back's going to come across here like it's GT. These dudes are going to pull. Okay, the whole defense is going to react to the run look, and they're just going to call it off at the beginning. There's an ISO look with a fullback. Yeah, make fullbacks great again. Okay, so all that's going to happen is you're going to get a cross-face look here, and Lamar's just going to juice it because the whole defense is reacting to run this way, and you're just taking layups on the outside with some off coverage. So that's a great thing. And I'm going to get fired up, so I'm not even going to mention it. But Lamar Jackson is a good quarterback. Okay, he's not a running back. He's not a gadget kid. This kid is a very intelligent quarterback, and I promised myself I wasn't going to get into it because I get all fired up when I start thinking about that. But he is a very good quarterback. That's all I'll say on that. Pulling a guard and pass pro again. Dude's going to rifle it down the field, a little corner route. Uh-oh, he threw that one behind. And I'm telling you guys, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. I am the kiss of death. Okay, as soon as I start praising somebody, Packer fans know this. As soon as I start praising somebody, they're going to do something terrible. So that's my fault. I said he was a good quarterback. He turns around, he throws a pick. My apologies. Justin Steele says, what was your first clue? How Marlon ended up on his back? I'm assuming Marlon is number 44, and I assume we're referring to the offensive pass interference, in which case, Marshall says the Ravens are pulling again. They're going to pull all the time, buddy. Probably time for me to turn this off. Looks like playoff Lamar came to play today. Yeah, the timing. My apologies. Between Pack Daddy and Drew, I just feel like I have absolutely jinxed it. I do really, truly think he's an intelligent quarterback and a very good quarterback. I think the Ravens still have plenty of answers. I'm excited to watch this game as somebody who doesn't have a rooting interest in either team. But I think a lot of the criticism, I guess, that Lamar gets from people who don't quite understand how Lamar works. Not saying I understand how the dude works, obviously. That came off really conceited. But I think a lot of the criticism that he gets as being a quarterback is unwarranted. There's definitely things that he could do better. So let me show you one of the things, while we're talking about things that Lamar and Baltimore's offense overall could do better, let me show you one of the things that teams want him to do or want the Ravens to do or force them to do in order to maybe be opportunistic and take advantage of some of Lamar's maybe not deficiencies, but just some things that he doesn't do very well. So one of the things they really like to do is, and we'll set this up just like they had it here, and we'll go ahead and pull this guard and pass pro just like they had it. We'll go through like this. Okay, that's the look that they had. And what they're looking to do is hit this kind of scissors look here with the M receiver, or that slot receiver. Okay, so what defenses really like to do against the Ravens, and I saw this a ton in film, is they're going to play what's called odd coverage. Or, when you really break it down, it's cover 3 or cover 1 and some sort of variance, some sort of look between those two. So what cover 3 is, and the easiest sense of the word, is this cornerback here to this side, he's responsible for this third of the field. This safety is responsible for this deep third of the field, and then this corner over here is responsible for that deep third of the field. And then most basic cover 3 has the outside linebackers responsible for the flats, and the inside linebackers responsible for hook curl and low hole. So just like that, okay? What cover 3 does a really nice job of is taking away the shallow, the underneath stuff, and forcing the deep throw. Specifically, forcing the deep throw to a tight window here, okay? Because that ball is going to be in the air a long time. This dude's a professional football player. This dude's a professional football player as well. They can run and rally to that. So a lot of teams really try to hit that. They make the Ravens try to hit that and take away all the underneath stuff and kind of pack the box and bait them to make either the long throw or the deep throw. So either the long throw to the outside or the deep throw. So as we see in the replay here, they're running cover 3 with that little out route, and they're asking Lamar to throw it deep, which is one thing I don't think that he does exceptionally well. Eventually, he's going to burn him on a deep throw and take care of that. But right now, he's just not an exceptional deep ball thrower, and that's what Tennessee baited there. So we'll just have to see the adjustments on that. Now, obviously, that is a very basic description of cover 3. There's all sorts of spinner looks and too high looks that you can get into, but at post-snap, when it's actually happening, that's how cover 3 looks. So my apologies for being the kiss of death there, guys. I'm sorry. That's a weird little motion from Henry there, but it's actually really smart by the Titans, because when Henry takes that, what we call fly motion, but we usually send our kid out to actually run. So they're in what's called 21 personnel. They got 2 backs. Well, I guess he's actually a tight end, 81. But they got a couple of dudes in the backfield that you have to account for, and then a couple of dudes on the line of scrimmage as well here, H and Y, that are going to run little divide routes. When you widen this guy out in motion, it's going to drag a linebacker out with him, and then when that linebacker has to respect him out here into the flats, there's your window. There's your hole that they're trying to hit. So nice little play by Tennessee there. Surprise, there's that 48 kid again, just always around the football in the run game. What are you seeing on the game right now, Coach? Just curious if I'm ahead of you or behind you. Right now, I have Anthony Ferkser on the screen, and he's on the sideline, and he's giving a hug to number 87. That's what I got live right now. So I'm probably well behind you guys because of all the stream and the lag and all that stuff that's going on. Tennessee's loving what they're getting right now out of trade. Nice job getting your hands up in passing lanes. Don't be surprised when you start seeing some defensive linemen on their back if they're going to throw their hands up in the passing lanes early. Offensive linemen are taught to just absolutely shoot their hands at the ribs. So if defensive linemen are getting their hands up in passing lanes, all of this stuff right here is going to be exposed to the O-line, and that's going to hurt. That's what we teach our O-line anyway, so I wouldn't be surprised to start seeing that. But Tennessee is just loving what they're getting out of trade right now and the looks that they're getting from Baltimore in it. So I don't know exactly what they're seeing. It's happening just a touch too fast for me. Here's that 52 front you were talking about, Goose. And it's definitely man coverage. So they shifted over to trips tight, and they're getting a little step back action. That's a really good job by 24. It's forcing Tannehill to do the exact same thing that the Titans were forcing Jackson to do. Make the tough throw. Throw the deep out, throw the deep corner shot, something like that. That's exactly what the Ravens did there. Well done. If you've got a quarterback that can hit that deep out, Aaron Rodgers comes to mind, Patrick Mahomes comes to mind, whatever. If you've got the one that can hit that deep out, he is so incredibly lethal because that really limits what you can do in coverage. A lot of times then you want to stay in even coverage, and then all of a sudden the middle of the field is open, and it's a cat and mouse game for sure. I just had Tennessee make a field goal to go to 10-0, so that's where I'm at in the game, and now it looks like we got some commercial break stuff coming up. So just to update you on there, depending on where you're at as far as the stream goes, I want to show you something that, we talked briefly about what quote-unquote trade does. Okay, so trade. Okay, it really makes offenses, it gives offenses a little bit of an advantage, because if you put this guy on the line and this guy off the line, now he can go in motion and all that sort of stuff, right? Like, you can do some crazy stuff, and it gets the defense on their heels a little bit. The reason you use trade again is to show one formation out of one personnel group and then go to something completely different, so that you're hoping to get the defense in more of a vanilla call. So what I'm thinking is going to start happening for Baltimore is they're going to start what's called dual calling this. If you continue to see a lot of trade offensively, then defensively your counter for that is to start dual calling plays. Okay, so you've got one play called in. Let's say you've got a little bit of pressure, maybe not a blitz, but let's just say you've got a rocket look coming from your outside linebacker where he's going to go ahead and hit C-gap hard, whether it's a run or a pass, and then you're going to go into cover 3. Okay? Then you'll dual call this to where if you get any sort of trade, so this would work really good against a heavy formation. Okay? If you get any sort of trade or any sort of pre-snap movement that totally changes the formation, then you can dual call this and you can go into what's called drop 2 or Tampa 2 or something like that. Something that's a little bit better against a spread formation or a throwing attempt or something like that. What Tennessee is doing is absolutely trying to bait Baltimore into some vanilla coverages. Okay, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Baltimore and their defensive coordinators start going into some dual call looks where it's going to be a rocket with cover 3 behind it. Unless they trade, then we're going to get into Tampa 2 and be better suited against the throw game. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that coming. Hopefully it'll make for some good TV for us here. Yo, Brendan, thank you so much. That's so very kind of you. Just so you guys know, and this is an awesome segue, I guess, into one of the talking points I was going to have while we're in commercial. Just so you know, I don't make any money off of this. I don't want to make any money off of this. But there are some people who work so freaking hard behind the scenes to where I can just come in on a Sunday morning and sit down and just have some fun with you guys. A couple of those people are Ryan Schlipp, known online as the Pack Daddy. He runs the podcast. He sets all of this up for me. He does a ton of work behind the scenes, so the money goes to him as it should because he does all the work. He's the really, really smart dude. I just sit here and talk X's and O's. Another guy is JJ Leahy, who does an unbelievable job with some podcasts. He does Cheese and Packers and No Huddle Radio, and he's the dude who helps me out with all of the personnel stuff. He is so incredibly intelligent when it comes to personnel and really knowing these dudes, and I don't know anything about these guys. So when you guys do give money and stuff like that, when you guys pledge a little bit of coin, it goes to them as well it should because they do all the work. And let's be honest, like at the end of the day, I am an auto tech teacher at a high school and I'm a football coach. So I literally get to hang out with kids all day long and do exactly what I like to do, which is talk about cars and talk about football. So I get paid way more than I'm worth already, so making sure these guys get a little bit of coin here and there, I certainly appreciate it. It's so kind of you, Brendan. Just an unbelievable thing for you all to do. If you guys do feel like supporting it, Pat Daddy will eventually give you some different ways to show some support. There you go. Oh, that's the right thought process there for Lamar. That big reverse out play action and then keep it. Well done by Tennessee sniffing that out in the flats, but pretty soon he's going to come with an RPO over that, hit it over the top, and that's going to go for a mile. So he's going to go ahead and read this with a reverse out, which is such a tough thing to do. He's going to read that sucker, and then if you keep funneling down, look there, you have 4 Titans in that flat range because they're so afraid of Lamar carrying the ball. If you keep doing that, pretty soon he's going to leak that fullback or leak that receiver out, and it's literally a throw over the top, and that sucker's going to go for 6. So even though it's not all that encouraging for Raven fans right now, they're setting it up the right way, which is awesome. Pull a guard again, this 2-7. It's going to get up the field. You got to get a little more vertical than that, and I think this is going back to what Justin was saying. Excuse me. I think this is going to get back to what Justin was saying personnel-wise with these 2 running backs, that this the Dobbins kid from OSU, he's a little more of the scat back. He's the fast dude. So when you're pulling guards, maybe that's where you look at the Gus Edwards kid, because you had a seam there on that second down play. You had an opportunity. Yeah, you got 3 yards, and don't get me wrong, that's good. But you had an opportunity to put your foot in the ground and really get upfield and get your 5, 6, 7 and stay ahead of the chains a little bit more. So maybe take a look at that. I don't know personnel-wise, but you got one-on-one on the bottom. Now the safety's drifting out. And Lamar Jackson's just going to do some freaky athletic stuff and throw the ball right to Andrews. Like, it's so nice to have such a big tight end. Like, look, that's great coverage. And me being a very, very little dude, I'm 5'7", 165. I played outside backer very poorly, and that sucked because at times I'd have to take on these tight ends who are 6'2", 6'3". You know, and that's where sometimes I default to you guys on the Jimmys and Joes stuff, but having a guy like that can just box you out, 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", that can box out a little outside backer or a nickel back. Anytime you offensively can get your big dude on the little dude, we saw it last night with Tampa Bay, like, it's unfair. It sucks being the defender in that, but obviously it's a fun thing to watch. So, and kudos for the Ravens running what's called Scramble Drill there, and kudos to Jackson to not force anything. It's really, really hard for a quarterback to come out after throwing a pick and having a big turnover and getting into a 3rd and long situation. You want to force it. You need to pick up that first down. You're thinking like, I got to get things right away. Very mature play by Jackson to go ahead and hit scramble rules. So for those of you who don't know, let's just have a little fun and talk scramble rules, and then I promise I'll get back to the comments here. So I don't remember what formation they were in or anything like that, so I'm just going to draw it out of a standard 2+2 formation here. And actually, let's just do this because I know it went to Andrews, so we definitely had a tight end on the field. Okay, so let's just say we had some sort of pass concept on. Let's say we had double levels here with a mesh underneath it, and then the deep out by the H or that tight end. Okay, when everything goes haywire and the quarterback has to break the pocket, all of this is predicated on timing, right? We all know that. We have all played Madden or something like that. All these routes are predicated on timing. So if you're the Z receiver and you get like over here and the play's still not over, then you're usually snapping your head back to the quarterback to see what's going on, right? So when everything breaks down and Jackson has to break the pocket, then what's called scramble rules come into effect. And there are very specific ways to think about this. So let's say these dudes got all the way over here. Okay? If you are to the quarterback side, so if the quarterback breaks the pocket and you're to his side, and you're the deep defender, you get outside and come, or the deep receiver, excuse me, you get outside and come back to the quarterback. Okay, that's just what Andrews did. That's what allowed him to box out that quarter behind him and go ahead and make that catch. If you're the under receiver to the quarterback side, you put a foot in the ground and you get vertical. Get out, get up. If you're the over receiver, you come under and you give him the outlet. So that's how all of this works. It's just where you are on the field, scramble drill happens, you got to get somewhere else. And what it does is put the defense in all sorts of crazy conflict. Now it becomes plaster for them, or where they have to stick man-to-man. Thankfully, the scramble drill rules got your big tight end locked up with a cornerback where he could just box him out and make the play. So excellent job there. Well coached by the Ravens and well executed by the players. I love seeing that. Here's some GT with Lamar Jackson. Yeah, buddy, go be special. Even those like 4-yard runs. I mean, even those little GT runs where Jackson's carrying it, it's going to really, really start to pay dividends down the road because A, Baltimore is going to be able to see how Tennessee likes to play that pull stuff. So right there, they tried to spill it, and they didn't get the edge defender where they wanted him, and they picked up like 4 yards on that. Okay, so Baltimore is going to start to build tendencies later on in the game and see in this situation they're going to box it. In this situation they're going to spill it. Pretty soon you're going to get them in a situation where they're going to spill it and you're going to get a crack block from a receiver and that sucker is going to go up the sideline to the house. My apologies. Titans read that quarterback run well. They did, but I mean you still picked up 3 yards. Like now you got the easiest drop over to number 83 on a little snag route. Now you're staying ahead of the chains. This is where Baltimore can excel. If they stay ahead of the chains, third and short, third and manageable situations, now you're going to start to see them go over the top here. On a pass-first team, Andrews would be the top tight end in the league. Drew, I do not disagree. He is very much, from the very little I've seen, he's very much Travis Kelce. So a super hat tip to him for being, by my account, a very unselfish player. You know, knowing that he's sacrificing his numbers to get his team to the playoffs. Good for him. Excuse me. There's your dude, Travis. And that's kind of a weird look to get that outside zone read. But you're just asking a defender to make a play in space against a running back. That's tough, especially if you're a safety here. So watch 89 with the crack block down. The safety is going to come and try to make an outside zone look. And, I mean, this is what the Ravens do. The Ravens are going to start clicking here. I'd expect points on this drive. This is a good-looking unit thus far. This is a good-looking drive. They're much more comfortable. They're adjusting. They're making the adjustments they need to, and now they've lightened up the box even. So this is going to be fun. If they can protect the football, and you want more than that on first down. I don't love the reverse out on first down because it really takes away what you can do in the play-action game. Put your quarterback back to the coverage even momentarily. Then he's going to spin around and actually identify a safety, but backside, inside backer was flowing. Also, they ran wide zone there, which is kind of a change-up for them. They don't run a ton of zone anymore. I mean, they still do, but they don't run a ton of zone. They're a little bit more gap scheme. So play action off of zone is a lot different than play action off of gap schemes, and we'll just have to see how this pans out for them. But You want to gain yards here, 2nd and 10. Your goal is to get at least 5 so that you can get back into 3rd and manageable, and they're going to take a shot here, and that's one-on-one coverage. That's a good throw. That's what Tennessee is going to continue to give Baltimore, is the little seam or the wheel release here by Brown in man coverage or catch man coverage, which this would be. They're going to give them that. Tennessee is going to dare Baltimore to throw that, and that's a good ball. You threw him open, essentially. What Brown's going to do is continue pressing to the inside of that corner till that ball is released, and then he's going to fade out to the sideline, create that natural separation. Lamar put it right where he needed to. So, but I'm not going to say anything because I would jinx it again. So, just a good job. Need the Gus bus today, Justin says. All right, I'm on with you. Look at that. Whoa, that was incomplete, huh? Andrews is just such a matchup problem. I'm going right back to what Drew said. Yeah, he's just such a matchup problem. And the more that Baltimore can get him into situations where he's against the safety, he's against the corner, like look at that wheel release and then the inside skinny. If you can get into those looks with Andrews, you're going to win a lot of them. Now, that's a ball you want to put a lot more to his upfield shoulder. Throw him into a safety. The nice thing about having a tight end like that, as opposed to like a Tyreek Hill or somebody who's a little bit smaller, is you can throw him into a safety. Because I don't know exactly how big Andrews is, but if you're throwing him into a safety, sometimes big dudes just win. Look at this. This is the old schoolhouse look, right? The whole student body left, that full outside sweep where you get a tailback lead blocking for a quarterback. It's stealing yards. What Baltimore is doing is stealing yards. So Tennessee, you can go ahead and celebrate that all you need to. I mean, you're celebrating a 4-yard gain. That's a silly thing. Like, you're looking for 4 yards a carry. You got 4 yards there. But whatever. Tennessee, you can celebrate that because what you don't really understand is they are putting you in so much conflict for later on in the game. And that's something Baltimore does very well. Your offensive coordinator, this Roman dude, is super good. And I know it probably frustrates the heck out of Ravens fans of like, oh, we start slower. We can't. But the adjustments he makes, there's a lot of plays he has called identifiers, and I'll get into those maybe at halftime or something like that. But there's a lot of plays he has that are called identifiers that's setting himself up to see how the defense would play that later on. Now, I know there's a sack there, but you're probably going to get a field goal out of it, make it a one-score game again, and then look out in the second half because this stuff is coming. He's just making little notes. He's playing the long game. So, Tennessee, you might be winning the battle right here. He's looking to win the war. Tennessee's defense right now is playing checkers and winning at checkers, but I can't wait to see the chess game come out second half. And I'll get into identifiers and stuff like that when I have a little bit of a break here. I want to see what happens. All right, I just wanted to make sure I didn't jinx anything there for you Ravens fans. So what Baltimore is super good at is running identifier type plays. So let's take a look at that one that they just ran with Lamar, where they went the full student body, that full sweep type of look. Okay, so we've got this type of look, and then I'm going to put the defense in blue. So you're going to have a stacked corner and a defensive end here. That defensive end is what's called a 6-eye in this alignment, so he's going to be inside shoulder of the tight end, and the corner is going to be your secondary force player here. Then you have your defense set, as defenses normally do. You're going to have a Mike, a Sam. This time they're going to bring in a buck linebacker and give it more of that 53 because it's such a condensed look. Then you can go ahead and play with a safety over the top. Now, look, you've got an 8-man box and that safety over the top. If he is there, then you've got a numbers advantage over here. So what they've done is what's called apex the buck and then start to drill that safety down. Now, if we take a look at it by splitting the field here, if we take a look at this alignment, you have a possibility of 1, 2, 3 on the line blockers, and when you run your quarterback, you've got 4. So now you got a 4-on-4 look, right? You can pretty easily get this and expect that tailback to come out to the corner, and then you can run. Now, this defensive end did a nice job of knifing under that and running out and stretching that play out, even though he didn't make the tackle, just stretching that play out so that this backer could come and react. But what Baltimore's so good at is they could very easily show this in the second half, knowing that they have 4-on-4 here, and they can get all this same look. The tight end's allowed to go down the field. He can just run a little interference look here, and then as this tailback comes out, and Lamar comes this way, all he has to do, the tailback, all he has to do is read. If the corner tries to knife inside to go get Lamar, sweet. He just runs a little corner as this cornerback is coming down. Lamar just settles his feet and throws it wide open. They're so good in the low red zone in the second half because of stuff like that, little adjustments. I know you're probably frustrated as a Ravens fan. I'm just going to tell you, keep the faith. If you're a Titans fan and you're tuning in and watching this, your defense is playing really solid right now, but you have to be a little bit cautious because this is something Baltimore does really well. So your defense can't just be like, okay, we're going to stay in base, we're going to stay playing really good defense. You have to be ready to make those adjustments when they start coming out in this. My apologies. I got 9:59 left. We're getting ready for kickoff. After that field goal, one score game here, 9:59 left in the second quarter. We're going to have a whole lot of fun. Special teams. Boy, it's such a luxury to have a kicker who's going to put that sucker into the end zone anytime you need him to. Excuse me. Andrews here, as he split out, he's on the line here, and as he makes that little pivot route, oof, that was open. Like, pull that trigger, buddy. And now, I couldn't see a drop corner on that replay. I couldn't see that if there's a drop corner playing some under coverage, but yowza. You want to see that? Your right tackle, Tyre, I learned his name was, he was really heavy on his heels there. You don't want to see that. You want to see that guy get a little more on the instep of his foot so that he can take some of that bull rush stuff away. Titans in a heavy set again, tight end wing. They're going to just look to pound Henry here and really make those linebackers respect him on the inside. Starting to look to open up a little more play action. It's a pretty good job there by Baltimore. We'll see what their answer for play action is. Derrick Henry's got to be just a nightmare to tackle. Oh, I would hate that. 9 rushes for 19 yards, though. I mean, dude's held largely in check, but again, he's probably held largely in check because of an updated box count. That's where some of this play action stuff is going to come in. It doesn't seem like the wide zone is working really well, Marshall says, for the Titans. Again, their offense coordinator, they're smart too. I'm thinking they're using wide zone as a little bit of a setup to eventually get some trap. That's such a good job by their left tackle. Anytime you're in the quick game setup, I don't think they'll replay that. But that's who the kid is. The really good blocking tight end is Michael Pruitt. My apologies on that. We got a flag here. But that cut on the left side of the line when the tackle cuts the defensive end as he's coming up the field, what that does is make sure he cannot get his hands up in the passing lane, and then that really helps out quick game. So that was a nice cut by that left tackle. But yeah, that Michael Pruitt kid, he's the one who's a really good run blocking tight end for the Titans. So overall, tight end, getting back to the tight end discussion, and I'm really bad at personnel, guys, just because I don't really watch these guys all that much. If I had to take just one tight end out of this entire football game and put him on my team, I would take Mark Andrews from the Ravens. But if I had my choice of, hey, you get a receiving tight end and a running tight end, and a run blocking tight end, I would take Michael Pruitt as my run blocking tight end because he's essentially just another tackle out there that can catch. 22 personnel now, and look at the Ravens, man. They're just about that life at the line of scrimmage right now. Bunch of dudes I don't know there, 90 and 40, but a nice job knifing on the inside. 22 personnel is nasty, or can be nasty if you don't match up well with it, because you created 2 gaps on the line of scrimmage using 2 tight ends, so you have 2 additional gaps. But you also have a fullback in the game. So what the Titans tried to do there is run away from the backside of the tight ends. Hopefully that they're just expanding that defense out. But Baltimore adjusted well just by bringing their outside backer up, this number 54. Very similar look here, except you're in 21 personnel, running some split zone play action. Number 81. You don't want to do that in the pass pro game, number 81. Don't ever let them inside of you. Nice job by that outside backer, but 81, and nice job by Tannehill escaping that, by the way. But you don't want them to dive inside of you like that. Oh, my apologies, I'm missing some stuff here. Nope, I didn't miss anything. Marshall said that about the wide zone. I don't know. You guys tell me if that's a catch or not. I don't know. I don't even know what a catch is anymore in the NFL. Now they're in a little bit more of an, I mean, it's still 11 personnel, but they're in a true trips look to the field. Uh-oh, he's dead. That is a big play. Now 95 gets credit for the sack, as he should. I mean, obviously he did a nice job. But this edge rusher really pulled all of the protection to him. So the kid coming from the field here, watch this. So you're going to watch that nose, that true zero tech. But it's the 91 coming that pulled that whole protection over. Because what the Titans are trying to do is run man slide. So the backside guard, number 76 for the Titans, you can see him have to look over to the left tackle because that 91 got off the ball so fast. And when he had to look over and see if he had to help that left tackle out, he obviously couldn't help that center anymore, which opened the door for 95. That's really good complementary football for the Ravens. Excited to watch this drive and see what some of their counters are now that their offensive coordinator and their offensive line coach have had a little time to see how they're starting to play some of the gap versus zone runs. This is going to be fun. I'm excited to watch this drive for Baltimore, but I won't say anything because I've told you all before, I am the kiss of death. However, what I will say, and Justin, I'll get to your comment in just a moment, but what I will say is if I'm the offensive coordinator for Baltimore, and I'm not, and Roman is smarter than me, I want it to be very known, I should not be an offensive coordinator at the NFL. I'm not smart enough for that. But what I would do is start getting some of your 20 personnel looks where you're taking that tight end off the field or spreading him out. Like, it's totally fine if you want to put your tight end out here, you know, but really widen that box out, but then still keep the numbers in place here with that 20 personnel look. So if that's Fields or not Fields, geez, what am I talking about? If that's Dobbins or Edwards or whatever, and then what we usually try to do personnel-wise is put our bruiser on a dive path, okay? And that's kind of like old triple option football, but you're not just leaving everybody on block. So what you can do is you can simply run some ISO looks here. Because you're going to have a box count back into your favor, you have to play the apex here. You have to respect the apex here with those outside backers. If you are going to play any sort of zone look, so now you've got kind of this 4-4 look, but they're expanded, right? And then you can get into, I mean, everybody loves to play the Ravens in cover 3. So you can get this dive look here out of gun or even out of pistol, but it works better out of gun. Having that H cross the face, which has to drag these dudes down, and then you can go attack the edge with some of this kind of triple option stuff. But instead of not blocking him, what I've seen them do a really good job of is short motion that Z in and have him crack that end, and then let Lamar get out here a little bit and actually option an outside backer. So that if you do have to hit that pitch, your unblocked man is a corner. And traditionally in the NFL, well, traditionally at any level of football, but traditionally the corner is your worst tackler. Not saying there aren't good tackling corners, there certainly are, but usually that dude is your worst tackler. So if you can push all of the blocks out to that corner, you're going to be in traditionally a little bit better shape. If corners could tackle really well, for the most part, they'd be safeties. My apologies here, getting caught up on this. Strong defensive series there. I agree, Justin. That was very well done. It was a catch, in my opinion. Marshall says, I think it was a stunt from the Ravens defensively on the sack. A little bit, yeah, they had some movement going in on there. But in my opinion, and I didn't break it down like I should because I was watching 91 on the edge, but that was all set up by 91. He did a really nice job of holding Tannehill in the pocket and getting off the line in man slide protection. That means he was one-on-one with that left tackle, and a lot of guys want to try to dive in on that, in which case the guard could help. But because he had the guard's attention, it allowed that 95 to get through. There's that stuff that Lamar does super well. Quick game. Just throw the speed outs, start to throw some of those snags and mesh concepts, and eventually Tennessee's going to have to get up and respect that with an outside backer in conflict, and if you do that, he's going to just run the ball down your throat. Justin says, the thing I always watch with the Ravens defense is how many people they put on the line of scrimmage and show pressure and then drop them all. Yannick Ngakoue, thank you, Justin, for that update. Yes. That's kind of what we're looking at here, baby. The Ravens starting to move the ball a little bit. Justin, you're absolutely right on that. And when we get a break here, because I love watching this Ravens offense, but when we get a break, I'm going to make myself a little reminder to talk about exactly what you had just mentioned there on the Ravens defensively. So I want to talk about that sort of look, and I'm going to make myself a note to come back to it. First down for the Ravens here. By my count anyways, I'm sure you guys are way ahead of me. I got 5:40 left in the second quarter. Tennessee's bailed out of their forefront, though, which is really interesting. They're in a really tightly packed 3-4 now, probably because they're terrified of Lamar. And that's actually a really good defensive adjustment because you're covering both A gaps and then at least one of the backside B gaps. So it's kind of tough to run gap schemes against a really condensed look like that. So that's a good adjustment by Tennessee. They're really setting themselves up for some zone action, though, especially zone read. And I'll talk about fit freeze and all the ways that people take care defensively of some zone read stuff, maybe at halftime or something. Maybe I'll make a note of that too. But fit freeze. Second and 9, again, not quite staying ahead of the chains here. This is a big down because you got to pick something up. There's some of that return motion. Oh, I don't know what the flag is here, but some of that orbit return motion, and then just the whole offensive theory of just getting dudes in space. You know, get your best athletes in space. Brendan, I believe Edwards is better than Dobbins just based solely on his vision. Certainly could be, buddy. I don't know. I don't know any of that really. I haven't watched these guys enough, so I would defer to you guys on that. I know Dobbins was just nasty at Ohio State, but I also know that Ohio State's line probably hang in the NFL. So this orbit motion is so freaking cool. Like, you got to just love orbit motion, and then eventually when you get to orbit return, and when you're seeing man defense or even spinner zone defense from the defense, you're just putting guys in conflict and getting the athlete the ball in space. I love it. I just love it. I got to stop fanboying, though, and actually try to break down this game. Woo! That's not good. That's a coverage sack for sure. Good job by Lamar making it not so expensive, but that's definitely a coverage sack. My guess is they're in odd coverage again. So those two high safeties, my guess is one of them is going to spin down and try to rob. 31 is spinning down, which drops him into more of an odd coverage, and then he's just running seam rules there, where if he gets a vert look, he runs with the vert. It's called man-only deep. If he gets a deep release, he's got to run with it. It's a Saban defense. So they're definitely getting into an odd look there, with 31 dropping into the low hole and then matching the seam deep. So it's good defense. Here's a little more orbit motion. Boy, they are putting them in conflict. Oh, get going, 78. 78, you had a real shot there, dude. If you get up the field and go, then you can tuck that running back right behind you, and you had a real nice looking crease. But you got to move, buddy. You got to get going. That was the Brown Jr. kid, I believe. I saw in the comments here. If you're going to skip pole, buddy, you better get your tail up the field vertically with some nasty intentions. I didn't quite see that on that play, so that's too bad. That had a shot. You had a seam there. Schematically, it was a good play. You were going to end up, if you got your blocks up the field, you were going to end up with your tailback one-on-one with a safety. But because you didn't get up the field fast enough, it allowed that edge to bend around the backside of the line of scrimmage and get him from behind. Pivot route from the tight end. Didn't see it, though. He's just going to go be better than everybody else on the field. Like, Louisville is so spoiled with him and Teddy. God, I love this offense, you guys. And that's not a schemed up thing, but can you imagine being a defense? Like, can you imagine you actually had him contained for the most part? Like, and I'll show you why it's so vital to keep what's called top of pocket. Oh, they lost it there. That's exactly where they lost. If you lose top of pocket, baby, and you get Lamar Jackson, the best athlete on the field, one-on-one with you guys, it's that. So congrats, Ravens fans. That's a fun drive to watch. We'll talk about top of pocket here in just a moment. That's the risk of for the Titans anyway. Oh yeah, that's a Titan. That's a risk for the Titans of running some of the stunt game on the inside that Marshall had identified earlier. Is if you run some of that stunt game and you don't get home, you're going to sacrifice top of pocket. So what I'm going to do now, while that play is still relevant and fresh in everybody's mind, is I'm going to show you exactly what happens with top of pocket. Okay, Baltimore is going to be in blue. We'll put Tennessee in green, and it doesn't really matter what happens out here. Okay, we got a 5-man pressure look here. So I'm going to put them both in 3 techs so that we can all see, and then we'll just drop a backer in here. So let's say we had that backer lined up here. Okay, with a 5-man pressure look, you're likely going to get man slide protection, meaning you're going to come out here, and then everybody else is going to try to slide this way, and you'll fill this gap right here with the tailback or an H-backer or just an additional blocker to where you'll come in and you'll fill that, we call it the bubble. Okay? What Tennessee tried to do, knowing they were going to get man slide protection, is they went ahead and tried to stunt these two. So they're going to pull that tackle from a 3-tech all the way around in a long stick, and then pull this backer and try to attack there and put that center in a bind. Now, does the center come back to that tackle who's crossing his face, or does the center come out and pick up that stunting backer? Okay, so that's what they tried to do there. The problem is people don't stay still like this, like it is on the whiteboard, right? Everybody's got to move. So this D-end's coming up the field, which means the tackle comes up the field. The guard comes up the field because this D-tackle comes up the field. Fullback sits in, and now everybody washes this way, and you have nobody defensively for what's called top of pocket. So everybody slides this way, these two go this way, there's a giant bubble there defensively. Okay, so all Lamar Jackson had to do was drill up through it and then go be special. So great job by the O-line picking up that stunt. High risk, high reward play for Tennessee that obviously turned out to be more risk than reward on that one. And then you just get your best dude out in the open field. If you don't hold top of pocket, it's going to be a long day for that Titans defense. Let's go back to Justin's talk on the Ravens defensively when he was talking about some of the ways that they show some stuff at the line of scrimmage and then bail off of it and why that's so important. Now, there's pros and cons to it. That's why not everybody does it every time. But this is simply called a sim pressure, okay, or simulated pressure. So we're going to put the Ravens in green this time and Tennessee in blue. And let's just say we have a sim pressure look out of a 3-4. So you have a nose head up over the center. You got 2 ends and 5 techs are outside of the tackles. And then let's just say you bring your 2 inside backers and you give them pressure. You make it look like they're going to come. You don't know if they will or not. Okay, they always have the ability to bail off. But if they're up here at the line of scrimmage, then the offensive line has to account for them and their blocking scheme. Okay? So the only thing that they can really do here, because they're stacked up head up over the guard, they're not shaded one way or the other, is now they have to get into what's called man protection, which means you take him, you take him, you take him, you take him, you take him. Okay? If you communicate well, then stunts and that sort of stuff, slants, they don't really affect man protection as long as that O-line communicates well. But what it really does a good job of is whether these guys come or not is inconsequential because now you've set what that offensive line can do. So if this tackle for the Titans is a liability, or if this center for the Titans is a liability, or whatever, if you think your dude across from him is better, you've guaranteed yourself man-to-man protection. Okay? So if you think your guy is better than the offensive lineman, do everything you can to get them into man protection. Because all you need is one of your defenders to win. Okay? And then you can bail these guys off, or you can bring them, whatever you want to do there. Tennessee coming out fat again. Little pork package here. Oh! Ryan Tannehill caught a pass! It's always funny to me when that happens. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Brett Favre's first professional pass was to himself. That's a great job off of the edge. Look, well, first of all, look at 93. So they're trying to set up the screen here, but 93 stops and retraces. 53 gets in the passing lane, and that's great. But what a screen does is you're trying to get those guys up the field. You want them as close to the quarterback as humanly possible when the quarterback releases it, because then the linemen are down the field blocking that next level. 93 did such a good job recognizing that, stopping and retracing, and then obviously 53 did a good job of getting into the passing lane. So that was dope. All right. Commercial break coming up here. If you got any questions, obviously let me know. Throw them in the chat. I certainly appreciate all of you hanging out with me. We got like quite a few watchers. I appreciate that. Quite a few comments and stuff like that. So we already talked about the sim pressure and we already talked about top to pocket. Now I'm going to teach you a little bit about what's called fit and freeze and why that zone look for the Ravens especially, has started to kind of go away because defenses have figured out how to play it. Okay? So usually what happens, and there's, like, this is a base level stuff, there's all sorts of adjustments that you can make. But usually what happens in a zone read, and this is where Lamar started off the season last year, if I'm not mistaken, just killing people on zone read, and then eventually they got to power read and stuff like that. Whatever. Okay? That doesn't really matter. But the way that zone read works is you're trying to run inside zone, wide zone, whatever it is. So in this case, let's say we're running to the offense's right. You're going to leave this dude alone. Okay? You're going to try to get a big double team here between the guard and the center, and you're going to try to push that nose to that linebacker. This left tackle is going to have a free release to that linebacker, and then you're going to go one-on-one to the front side. Okay? Then the quarterback gets the snap, and the tailback's taught on inside zone anyways to look at the butt crack of the center and go ahead and follow him through. Get through that first level, through that big double team, and then bring the backers to the blockers and go be special and make something up here. Where zone read really started to work well for the Ravens is because you're not blocking this dude, you can put him in conflict with the quarterback. So you can take on a 6-man box and block it with only 5 blockers because you read this guy. Okay? So if this defensive end comes up the field and screams down hard like that, okay, what we tell our quarterback is if that defensive end can tackle the tailback, you keep the football. So right here, a mesh point happens, say the defensive end bends around really hard, screams around backside, well then you just keep it and replace where that defensive end was. There's no way he can stop and turn around and retrace. Okay? Obviously, if he just comes up the field and he's playing you, then give the ball away because now we got 5-on-5 blocking there. Another point to that is now talking about the RPO or run-pass option game, where instead of the quarterback disconnecting and running with the football, we can go ahead and load this with like a tight end or something like that, and then get our guy off the field here, which is going to bring an inside backer, or excuse me, an outside backer into the mix. Okay, so when we +1 and put a tight end in, they're going to go ahead and +1. I'll get back to this. The game's back on. My apologies there. Stacked set from Tennessee. Oof, that's a good throw by Tannehill, yo. That is a real, oof. They called it no catch, but that's that deep out that makes a quarterback just absolutely lethal because in the wide bulk of coverages, that sucker's going to be open. So that's a scary thing to look for if you're a Ravens fan. That's a very exciting thing to look for if you're a Titan fan, especially when you're stacking to the field. This Humphrey kid he's doing some work. 11 is a physical, yeah, that's no catch. 11, he's a physical receiver, so for 44 to match up with him, it's kind of funny that he wears 44 because usually when I see a secondary player wearing a number in the 40s, I'm thinking they're not very good. That's at a high school level though. But I'm thinking like, yo, if you want to wear number 44, you're like a booster club kid. You're only on the field because your parents give us a lot of money. That's not exactly true though. All right. I believe Edwards is better. We hit that. Justin, 93 is Calais Campbell. Oh yeah, the old Arizona Cardinal. If you've ever heard him talk in media, he sounds like a. So I like to listen to the Levitard show purely for the entertainment value, and they do a sounds like segment. And Calais Campbell sounds like a cartoon monster. Always made me laugh. He's played a little bit of football in his time. Yeah, that's great. That's a great screen recognition by him. So my apologies, we're in commercial break now. So going back to the RPO game or run pass option and how all of that looks. So we can still run that exact same zone scheme here. Now because we've added a gap, we can pick that up with the with the H. We can pick up that with our number 3 in our count, and then we can still get this sort of look here, right? We can get that big long double here. We can get this. So it's still inside zone to the right, but now the quarterback, knowing that this is blocked by the H, the quarterback can read this dude. And there's a couple of different things he can do, okay? So as the tailback takes this and goes right up the butt of the center, looking to maybe cut this sucker back or something like that when he gets the linebacker level, if this linebacker, this outside backer, has to fold in to make the play, well, there's nobody left to take away the inside snap. So if the quarterback reads that, sees his backer fly into the box on run, he just pulls it and juices that sucker. And then you're stealing yards. If this linebacker has to stay out here in this window to take that away, well then, that tailback can go ahead and get up the field because now you're +1 in the box, okay? Where fit freeze comes in is a really nice thing by defenses. Remember, I always had the quarterback in the gun there, and I always had the tailback and what we call sidecar, or just kind of set off to him, okay? What defenses have started doing is really smart with fit freeze with their outside linebackers, this guy and this guy. So if the tailback is usually crossing the face of the quarterback to get that mesh action so the quarterback can get his eyes backside to that outside backer, what defenses do is now they give these guys specific jobs. He would be a freeze player, and he would be a fit player. And we'll get to that as soon as this play is done. Oh, he fell down. You don't want to fall down. That's not great football. So essentially, if you're the outside linebacker that's away from the tailback sets away from you, you come in and you be the fit. You be that +1 in the box, because he's not going to be able to read you in a mesh pattern. If he's holding that ball out in front, he's not going to be able to read you, stop, flip his hips, and throw it in time. Okay, the lineman will be down the field. And then this backside dude is going to be a freeze player, where he just kind of settles in this window, takes away the RPO window, and if that quarterback does disconnect because that end comes up the field, then he can be a quarterback player. So it's a really nice defensive adjustment called fit freeze. Ravens and empty, man. They love empty. Whew. You want to stay locked on just a little bit longer, left tackle. Excuse me. Tennessee's playing some lively defense, man. They're making some really good adjustments. It doesn't surprise me, I guess. I know they don't have a defensive coordinator, but they do have really, really good assistant coaches. A really good D-line coach who is essentially trying to make chicken salad out of chicken droppings. Like, look at this look. If you're an O-line, you're straight man protection, and then you got a flush. Throws against his body. Oh, don't do that. Oh, I know it's complete. I know he's a special player. I know he's a really intelligent quarterback, but good God. On the run folding, anytime you're in sprint out like that, like Lamar was, and he threw against his body, like, look, I get it. He is a very good quarterback, but man, that makes me nervous, probably because I have PTSD as a high school coach. What are you going to, what? You're better off just kind of chucking that one. I don't know. And you can't blame the guy. He's trying to make something happen out of nothing, but whoo-wee. The Ravens left tackle is getting pushed to the edge so far that DN just cuts back inside and keeps getting pressure on Lamar. Exactly right, Marshall. I'm going to make note of that because that's exactly what I was seeing there. So we'll make note of that to talk about at halftime as it nears. Ravens left tackle and how they can adjust pass pro to help him out, because Tennessee is 100% steering the Ravens pass protection just so they can pick on that left tackle. Remember how I talked about steering pass protection as a defense to try to get some of those one-on-one looks? That's exactly what they're doing. Except they've decided to pick on the left tackle with a pretty good edge rusher, which is weird because I always thought that the D-line for Tennessee was not very good, and they're not, but they're getting at least better than what the Ravens are showing right now. So going to be an interesting adjustment for the Ravens offensive line coach on how he wants to handle this, if he wants to start sliding a different way and that sort of stuff. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. But you just saw the total yards graphic where the Ravens are blowing up yards-wise, and a lot of that could be Lamar's big play, but some of that's just adjustments. Be smart with the ball. Be smart with the ball. Be smart with the ball. He was smart with the ball. Like, you don't want to take a sack, but you got to take the sack there. When you're on the negative side of the field in a tie ball game, I know you want to go down and get a field goal and get the points, but it's really expensive if you turn it over in that setting as well. So he was trying to hit some scramble drill stuff with Andrews. Andrews was the low. He went high. He came back on the pivot, just like you're supposed to run scramble drill. So let's watch 15. He's deep. You got to come back to the ball now. Oh, 15 didn't run scramble drill very well. Who's 80? He's just kind of hanging out. You got to get back to the ball, son. You got to get back to the ball, son. Yeah, not a very good scramble drill from 15 and 80, but 89 was trying to run it. That's definitely a coverage sack. So there you have it. Pretty close to halftime here. It's third and about a mile. The Titans defense has 4 sacks today, and they had 19 all season long. So yeah, that's kind of the way it goes, I guess. I'll show you how they're starting to get some of that pressure and what the Ravens can do to hopefully alleviate it. A little zone action again here, a little split zone where they had the tight end going back, and you're just going to let that clock run. I mean, Tennessee's going to call a timeout, I'm sure, but let that clock wind down, punt that sucker away. What's the flag for? You got a hold on it? How do you get a hold on split zone? We'll see. I don't know. I don't have sound on or anything, so I don't know what the flag is for, but we'll take a look in just a moment. Personal foul. I didn't see what the personal foul was. It was just a personal foul, so I don't know. Des Bryant. Oh, that dude's still alive. I forget about that sometimes. Oh, don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah. They always get the second dude. We tell the kids all the time, they always get the dude who retaliates, so that's too bad. It's a field position flip. Now the Titans have the opportunity to go down and maybe steal a field goal and steal a little bit of a lead here. So we'll see. Titans have 2 timeouts. I don't expect play action, obviously, out of that. That's a long developing play. You're really going to need some sort of way to get Tannehill into empty, or if you don't use empty, definitely want to max protect it out of 11 personnel. Use either your best protecting tailback or your H, and then see if you can steal enough yards to get a field goal here, depending on the punt, obviously. And fair catching this sucker right at your 27. Like, they got a shot here. 5 seconds away. I guess maybe not that much of a shot, depending on the flag. That was one thing I was going to mention, that I thought it was a pretty cleanly called game thus far, up until obviously back-to-back flags. But you could mention OPI a couple of times on 11. He's getting a little bit feisty with his hands, and that sort of stuff. And there's probably a hold on every play if you're really going by the book. But for the most part, not a ton of penalties until these back-to-back flags here. So we'll have to see what this is. Is the Titans' pressure on that left tackle just them isolating him scheme-wise, Marshall asks, or is it the DN just beating him to the outside and cutting in? I'll show you here at halftime once I get through this last play by the Titans. My guess is I'm almost sure it's 100% scheme-wise. The Tennessee Titans have the ability to steer where the Ravens are taking their man slide protection by giving a 3-tech or a defensive strength. Have the ability to steer where he's actually taking his protection to, and then just isolating him backside. So, yeah, 41 had to hold there. Yeesh. That sucker was going to get blocked. They were a man down in punt coverage, by the way. The Ravens were. That wasn't a very good job of special teams. They were a man down, which means you got a free releaser coming. Like 40% of the time, that sucker gets blocked. All right, let's go. Let's get these 5 seconds over with so that I can show you guys how the scheme works. We're getting this left tackle isolated against an edge rusher. All right, we're almost done here with the half. Let's see. Still waiting on this. Still waiting on this. Come on, fellas, figure your lives out. I'm going to go back just a second and actually take a look while they're trying to sort all this out. I want to see exactly what's going on with all of these fun little sacks that the Titans are getting. I just want to make sure that when I break this down, it's actually relatively accurate. Otherwise, I'll feel like a tool if I go and watch film tomorrow and it's like, dude, you weren't even close. What are you talking about? You're just making stuff up. So I have gone ahead and rewound to the 3rd down play here, and my guess is 78 is getting picked on scheme-wise. I just want to make sure that I actually have the correct alignment by the Titans defense. And then as we roll into halftime, we'll be able to tell you exactly what's going on. Yep, that's what's going on. That's exactly it. It's great scheme by the Titans, to be honest with you. Very intelligent, but let's go back like 10 seconds to see what happened here. Long stunt, long stunt, long stunt, sack. Yep, so it's a mix of coverage sacks and scheme and them getting through it. So what I've been seeing, and it's halftime for me finally, so I wanted to show you this. What I've been seeing a lot of is either this look here, where the Titans will pinch in a 3 front and then bring some outside backers, very similar to what the Packers like to do, and then they'll actually spread those 2 inside backers out. That way the gaps sound all the way across. This would equal man protection for the Titans. So again, you know, if you're equaling man protection here by giving a true nose over the center, kicking out here and here, like if this dude is better than this dude or anywhere across the board, it's going to be a liability for the Ravens. So the Titans have done a good job schematically at least showing that to get the Ravens into man protection. And then another thing they do if they don't want to come with a 5 front, which they haven't all the time, if they want to be a little bit sound, excuse me, in that second level, and say you want to get an outside backer over here, whatever, then they'll go ahead and they'll tuck a nose in here and then set the strength away or set the strength to the right tackle. Now here's where it gets really interesting and the scheme gets really intelligent from the Titans. So if you've got this look, you really don't want to slide the offensive line this way. Sliding the offensive line is sliding it to where you're going to need the most help. However, you don't love that thought process, because if you do slide this way, you've got your guard unprotected and stuff like that, that's fine, and that'll take some of that stunting away to the inside, like Marshall's been talking about for this left tackle, who's been playing like a little bit of a liability today. So if you slide this way, you protect your left tackle a little bit more, but then you put two guys on an island instead of one. The other problem with sliding that way to the low shade is that if you have a tailback or a tight end, whoever's responsible for this bubble where the man protection breaks the slide, if you put him in there and this comes around, a defensive tackle will beat a tailback in pass protection almost all the time, right? So that's a problem. So instead, because the Titans are lining up like that, what the Ravens have done is decided to start sliding to the 3 technique, or to the strength there, because now you can get a 4-man surface and 4-on-3. Obviously, the problem with that is, you're strong here, 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 here. You can get a double team here on that nose, and then this center can be looking for either backer that's coming, like that's fine, that's a good look. And then the tailback doesn't always have work, so he can leak release and stuff like that. So there's advantages. The giant disadvantage is your one-on-one backside. You are man-to-man backside. So as this tackle starting to hit some of his depth, if he gets his face crossed, that quarterback is done. That quarterback is going to have pressure there if this tackle gets beat. So man sliding to the low shade, or to the strength like this, and go ahead and set the slide to the strength. One, it gives you a 4-on-3 blocking surface, so you're good there. It gives you the ability to protect any sort of pressure that you may get, any of your zone pressures and that sort of stuff. But the downside is you're putting your tackle in a liability situation if he can't take that end one-on-one. So a couple of things that I expect the Ravens to do in the pass pro game here is to either chip release or what we call hold protection. When we see that, where their dude out here is just better than us. So at the high school level, we like to draw it up like this. So if I've drawn this to scale and this is the size of my offensive lineman, sometimes I see DNs like that. They're just better than us, okay? So if that's the look that we're going to get, and they're just bigger and better than us on the edge, I'll still slide this way. I don't have a problem with getting a 4-man surface, and then I'll just tell this kid, you stay heavy inside. Okay, you're going to be man protection there. All you have to do is not let that DN beat you inside. If he beats you inside, we're screwed. Okay, but you stay heavy inside of him, because we're going to bring the tailback out and we're going to sit him here. Okay, so now this dude's got to run through too with a tailback, and if he decides to try to cross your face and go inside, then the tailback can just leak and he should be wide open. Okay, otherwise with a chip release here, where he's going to knock him back inside, he can then go and still be part of the pattern. So I'd expect to see the tailback, the H-back, the tight end, whoever, be a little bit more involved in that man slide game for Baltimore coming up out of halftime. But I wouldn't be surprised if they continue to slide to the strength that Tennessee is giving them, just to make sure that they're protected to the strong side. A ton of questions. My apologies, I've been missing out on this. Justin, so I didn't know this. Holding on the receiving team prior to the kick is essentially defensive holding? Yeah. And carries with it an automatic first down? Yeah, usually. It all depends on what part of the play, because it's a change of possession play. But if the receiving team doesn't touch the ball yet, then it's not a change of possession then, obviously. So the punting team, the kicking team is considered the offense, and then the receiving team is considered the defense until that change occurs. So that's why you see when a gunner goes out of bounds on punt, it always happens on punt. But if a gunner goes out of bounds and they're on the kicking team, and they go out of bounds on their own, if they're not blocked out of bounds, that's a penalty. However, the return team, you can go out of bounds all you want. Defense has the ability, and if you're the return team, you're considered the defense. So defense has the ability to go out and go out of bounds and do all that, all the luxuries afforded to a defense, and then obviously all the restrictions afforded to the defense as long as you're the receiving team. And then the kicking team is always considered the offense because that's an offensive play. So Good question, Justin. That's some of the formalities of football that you can get into some really cool stuff, and that's where like Vrabel, Belichick, everybody from that tree, they like really try to find all that cool little stuff. Daniel, thank you, Daniel, for joining us. Appreciate you. Hey, I've only just joined, but how much of a problem for the Packers will it be without Bach, especially against a great D-line like the Rams, who they could play in the next round? Daniel, this is a great question. We're going to get away from the Ravens just a second and talk Packers, because this is what I've been talking about with my dudes here and some of my friends and co-workers and everybody who are Packer fans. I'm not a Packer fan. I care less really about teams in the NFL. But here's the problem. So we know that this is probably going to be Billy Turner, right? And if this is Elton Jenkins, who's very good, and this is Corey Linsley, who's very good, then our concern here is Lucas Patrick, and Rick Wagner has actually been playing really well, and it could be the help of Lucas Patrick or whatever. But my concerns personnel-wise are here and here, at left tackle and at right guard. So what the Rams are really good at doing is using, I'm going to change colors on this, is using 99 and putting him at his most advantageous spot. So if this is Aaron Donald here, 99, and he's going to beat Lucas Patrick one-on-one all the time, well, that's going to be an issue, right? So then they'll set the other end here, a nose here, an end here, and two backers, whatever, right? So in the pass pro game, if I'm looking at this, much like we were just talking about in the Ravens, I'm going to go ahead and put Billy Turner on an island with this dude, knowing that I can scheme some help for him. I can get him a tight end, I can get him a tailback, whatever I need to get him a little bit of help. And then I'm definitely sliding to Aaron Donald. I'm going to use Corey Linsley to help. If there's any sort of stunt game, like we're going to really protect Aaron Donald versus Lucas Patrick. However, the Rams, and especially their defensive coordinator, I forgot the dude's name already, but he is so intelligent at screwing with offensive line play because he really understands how offensive line rules go and what protection rules are. Very much so like Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles from Tampa Bay does a great job at that. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of this where they're going to put 99 to that shade here and here, which tells the Packers, hey, if our rule is we got to slide to the strength, they're going to get the slide going this way, which means Turner comes out, he's going to slide here, he's going to slide here, and then Rick Wagner is one-on-one with the end. And what Aaron Donald, I'm guessing, is going to do is hit this and then come around into that bubble or that B gap. Now, yeah, you should have a tailback inserting in there to help out, with the true rules of man slide protection. But if he tightens this sucker like he does, you could really put Lucas Patrick in a problem there. So another counter, and this is just where I go wild in football scheme, and this is why I don't usually sleep well at night, is if you have 99 here, Aaron Donald, I think his number's 99 or 90 or whatever. If I just draw 90, you know what? I'll make it easy. This is Aaron Donald, okay? And then we have our 3-tech, our D-end, and our D-end. So if the Packers want to slide to wherever Aaron Donald is, now that puts a one-on-one backside and backside. Now you can double him, sure, but now look. You've got 3 single teams, and you're literally doubling Aaron Donald up to a backer, okay? That's a problem for these guys, possibly. I don't know how good this guy is against Billy Turner or whatever. Okay, but now you have man looks here, and this is where some of the stress can come in for Green Bay. Because if you bring that backer to that B gap and you show him, now Lucas Patrick has to bring that up. Now you have a center snapping a football and trying to block possibly the best defensive tackle that we've ever seen in the game one-on-one. And especially if they go this look, one of the things to consider, and here's where all the kind of cool little stuff happens in football. If Aaron Donald is lined up to the right, the offense is right, that means he's attacking the snap hand of Corey Linsley. Corey Linsley's right-handed, okay? Corey Linsley snaps the ball, his hand is down when Aaron Donald gets into his chest. So, what I've seen the Rams do quite a bit against man slide teams like Green Bay is just go show a linebacker. Whether they bring him or not, again, it's inconsequential, okay? Put Aaron Donald there and just show the linebacker. So we've got man protection here. We're going to try to double this guy up to a linebacker. Go show him in the B gap. What that's going to do is it's going to force the guard to at least step there and recognize it, okay? Then the center's got to step to Aaron Donald and snap the football. That's the shortest path to quarterback. So there's some possibilities of some craziness for Green Bay. So Thank you, Marshall99. So thank you, Daniel. That is a great question, and that's just the tip of the iceberg of some of the stuff that they can do, because they've got this Ramsey kid that they can actually start using in an under-over pattern on Davante Adams, very similar to what the Panthers did was it the Panthers? Yeah, it was the Panthers. Very similar to what the Panthers did to Davante Adams to kind of shut him down, if you will, out of that game by using some over-under, what's called bracket coverage. This Ramsey kid's really, really good at man, and if you put him on an island with Davante Adams, I still think Davante Adams probably wins that matchup more often than not, but it's not as easy as some of the matchups he's had before. However, if you bracket him and you let Ramsey maybe stay over the top sometimes and drop an outside backer or a D end underneath him, or at times let Ramsey just play straight up man against the dude with floating a safety over the top, it could be some problems, especially the way that they get some pressure on that defensive line. So this is that. If they play the Rams or the Buccaneers with a little bit banged up offensive line and some liabilities there, it's going to get interesting. I'm not as confident, I guess, as a lot of other Packer fans that I've talked to, and that's fine. Like, if you're a confident Packer fan, I love it. Like, you go do you. Like, I love it. I love that optimism. I'm just not always sold on backup or replacement offensive lineman blocking probably the best technician the game has ever seen in '99. But that is what it is. No problem, Daniel. Like, this is not a money thing at all. Don't worry. I do this because I just love having fun and talking football with people who want to learn about football. So, again, a little shameless plug here. There's that speed option look they could get. Get on your horse, 27. I'm sorry. I'm watching the game. Again, when it comes to money and stuff like that, the people who are actually working hard at this, the Ryan Schlips and the JJ Leahys and the dudes who do this for hours on day trying to get podcasts up and trying to get me personnel information and all that sort of stuff. If you do feel the desire to donate, make sure they get that money, because I'm literally just sitting here watching a football game and this is all I do. So if you do feel the desire to donate, I know they would be tremendously grateful because they put in a ton of work behind the scenes. But I just want to make it known you're not donating to me. You're getting it to them, the people who actually make this sort of stuff happen. So thank you very much, Daniel. It's very kind of you. Appreciate that sentiment there. Let's see what the Ravens do for offensive adjustments. This is going to be really fun. And then, obviously the Titans are going to have to make some adjustments too defensively. So I hope they come out throwing, honestly, because I want to see what they did adjustment-wise. As much as I love watching this Ravens run game, I want to see what they're going to do adjustment-wise in that pass pro game. Another thing that I didn't mention that you can always do in pass pro is just throw quick. Get some of your best concepts, your best quick game concepts, be it snag or we actually have a concept called quick or whatever that is, to get you guys open. Tennessee's running that tight front again, man. They're running 4-eye tight. That's there it is. Now they're just running quick. Play action quick. Get the ball to big dudes in space. That dude is a big dude, 42. Holy balls. I'm pretty sure your left guard is wearing number 42. Good. Justin coming through for me every time. 42, Patrick Richard, 300-pound fullback. Yeah, it's going to be a matchup problem. You get him in the flats. There's not a whole lot of nickels and corners that when I take that dude head on. Holy smoke, look at him. He's just a barrel out there. My goodness. GT Reed again. They're just running quick game, and I love it. They're just stealing yards. They are literally stealing yards. When Tennessee's running this tight front here, and they're running a nose, an end, and an end, and they're trying to screw up your gap scheme, right? And that's why they're doing this here, so that they can overload their backers and still be gap sound. It's a really, really good adjustment. But if you do this, and you pull, and you do this, and you pull, and you have an attached tight end who does this, what's that cat going to do? Is he going to run with the pull, or is he going to run with the H? Because he can't do both. So that's a good adjustment. Well done, Baltimore. GT again, baby. It's just full GT Reed with a kick from a fullback. Yeah! That's like mid-'80s high school football out of single wing type of stuff. Oh, that's good stuff. That is super cool. That's like some of that Friday Night Lights stuff there. Oof. 42, you want to get your hands on the inside of the breastplate though. But yeah, you're just stealing yards now. You're still using GT. Tennessee, tip your hat to them. Okay, they did an unbelievable job adjusting and getting to some of that easy 4-eye type of 3-4 tight look. But now you're putting dudes in conflict right now, and you're doing a great job of it. I like, this is what I was looking for from the Ravens, man. These guys are so freaking fun, and it's just old school, and it's so cyclical, and I'll talk about that at our next break, because I am all in on this. There's just standard trap. Yikes, that was the wrong read. I think Jackson got a little bit selfish there. I think that ball should have gone to Dobbins on the outside zone path out of trap where they pull that left guard, because you saw that nickel really squeezing in. So I think it was the wrong read, but we'll see what happens here. I've been wrong before. It was in like 94, I think. But yeah, it was a bad day. I was wrong. Justin says, please break down that pass play to 42. The Ravens have used it as a staple. Oh, look at that. Now they give the ball to him on the outside zone. Now worked perfectly. Well done. That's good. They're just stealing yards. Justin, break down that pass play to 42. The Ravens have used that as a drive starter a lot this season. You bet, buddy. I am all in on throwing fullbacks the ball into the flat. What they're going to do here is long play action. I'm going to use F for fullback. This is what we call a queen look, okay, where the fullback is divorced away from the tight end. If he's to the tight end side here, we call that king. If he's away from the tight end, we call it queen, okay? So you had this look pre-snap. Hang on a second. Here goes Lamar. Here goes Lamar. Who's this dude, this 35 down the field blocking like it says J-O-B? Way to go, buddy. 35. Look, Lamar Jackson's really good, but 35, excellent effort here. I just want to see this real quick. My apologies. You're going to leak that path. I don't know if this is designed or read. That is designed. That is a designed, it's play action run, which is hilarious to me, but that's a designed Q run. That's just awesome. That's what we call Q lead, or Q ISO would take it between the tackles, but that's what we call Q lead. But to watch the Ravens run this with such success at an NFL level, it's just gorgeous. There's a big old fullback again. So getting back to your question, Justin, as far as how does this play work, they'll go ahead and reduce this sucker down with that Z receiver. That was number 15 here. And then because you're in a relatively heavy set offensively, what that's going to do is probably keep you in a single high look for the safety, and it's going to really reduce your outside backer down, especially because the Titans came out in this front, right? So you're seeing a lot of this. And so you're probably playing cover 3, which means he's bailing off on the deep threat. So let's say Z takes that off. 1 second, I want to watch this play. GT again, GT read. Now, the Titans are really starting to spill that on the backside and keep their defensive end responsible for outside zone and trying to fit that back inside with a linebacker, and that was pretty well done there. So anyways, the corner is going to get the top taken off by the Z receiver, and what you're really trying to do is put this dude in conflict, this outside backer, because the fullback will step up and then leak out to the flats. And then Lamar Jackson is literally just reading this outside backer. If he's going to come in and play B-gap responsible, he's just going to throw that little flare to the fullback in the flat. Okay? If he's going to run out with the fullback, well, then he's going to give it, and they're going to go ahead and be able to bend off of it because they got a really nice angle from the tackle to the backer. There it is again. 42 with just a little read play, man. Titans better figure that out. And the reason this is such a cool... Oh, I get excited. God, I get excited over stupid stuff. I got to calm down a little here because I'm going to have a heart attack. But the reason this is so exciting, the reason why Baltimore is doing this, is because Tennessee came out in a really, really intelligent front here and killed what they could do for GT. Now if you run GT, this guy can knife in because these are really, really hard blocks to get, and then you really condense down the GT stuff, right? So that's a really intelligent front. But what it's really done a bad job of is leaving this guy out to dry for any of the Q read stuff out of the fullback. He can't both cover the fullback and get in here. Now, here we go. I'm going to have to watch this replay because I'm just stupid and drawing up plays. But we got Dobbins on a tutty, and I didn't see how it happened. This is a great drive by Baltimore. Kudos to Tennessee. I mean, they made some nice defensive adjustments, but Baltimore just adjusted faster than them. So they're drawing on the screen. Oh, this is just load zone. Load zone. I'm showing you this play too. I'm sorry, I'll get to your questions and comments and stuff too, but who doesn't like a good load zone? Okay? So you're going to run inside zone left here, where the tailback's going to cross the quarterback's face, but you have that fullback in, that 42, who is essentially a guard. He's a 300-pound fullback. Thank you to Justin for saying that. Okay? But all you're going to do is short motion him and lead him through. It's just a great way to get an extra hat to the ball. So say Tennessee is in this same load front, and I didn't quite see what the front was for Tennessee, but let's just say they're in it. They're just going to leave this backside dude all alone. Okay? We're going to pretend he doesn't even exist. If he can run around and make the play, then we're going to screw him with a fullback late later, which they've been doing all drive. Okay? So doing that has probably slowed down that backside outside backer. Then you put the F in short motion right before you end up getting that snap. Now if you go through your zone count here, 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 you can use him as a full player, and you've got everybody taken care of. Okay? Now the T just literally follows the F, and I believe actually what they did was put that out here and here. Okay? So they were able to get more of a duo look with that left guard and left tackle and let the fullback go kick out here. But you can just follow that big fat double team right up through. Like, that's a really good look. And that's just really intelligent at mixing some zone along with some GT stuff. Because if you're that backside inside linebacker, and sometimes you see dudes pulling around on you, sometimes you see dudes pulling away from you, and then sometimes you see down blocks, like, you never know what's going on. So, I'll get to your questions in just a minute. I get so excited over this dumb stuff. Okay, let's just talk about that backside inside linebacker, especially on load zone versus some of this GT stuff that they're seeing, okay? So in GT, we know that they've got these two backside guards pulling, right? So they're going to pull around, and they're going to have a whole lot of fun. Outside backer, inside backer, inside backer. We're specifically looking at that backside inside backer, okay? What he's seeing from his lineman, his guard, his key read, when they run GT and they pull these guys around, is he's seeing a down block. So he's seeing this look, and this look, and this look. And then he's thinking, okay, now I have to get up here, start to insert for the pull, okay? And we're just going to use him to box it, and we should be good. Now, here's where the magic happens. So he sees that down block, and he's like, okay, I got to get here. I got to get here and get ready for the pull. So he's seeing that and seeing that and seeing that all game long. So what do the Ravens do? They run zone away from the way that they've always been running GT. So let's think about this again, okay? Let's just theoretically say we're that backside inside linebacker now. We're this dude, and we see, what do we see? We see down block, we see down block, we see down block. So to us, what does it look like? It just looks like GT, right? So we come down and do our job for GT, thinking these guys are pulling. Well, now, son of a gun, they ain't pulling. They're leading through, and I've taken myself completely out of the play. It's just kiss, man. It's just so gorgeous. All right. Let's take a look here. Some signs. You look for to determine whether a quarterback run is read or design. What I'm really looking for is the path of the running back. That's a great question, Marshall. I'm looking for the path of the running back to understand if it's more of a Q look or if it's a T look. And then I'm also looking for the quarterback's eyes. If he's actually snapping his eyes to somebody and reading them, or if he's just patiently waiting, and if he's looking at the offensive line, then I know it's a Q designed run. If he's looking at a defender or staring right at the hip of a defender, then I'm thinking it's more of a mesh or some sort of option look. But that's a great question, dude. This is just so fun to watch. I love all the detail, how you explain things. Thanks, buddy. Please understand, this is equal parts fun for me. And I really, really appreciate everything that you guys do as far as personnel and stuff, because I don't know these guys, but boy, this is magical. This is just magical to watch. It's everything I was hoping that the Ravens would do, and I'm not one of those guys that always say, well, I'm lying. I'll definitely be one of the guys to say, I told you so. We're, just like you said, Marshall, we're starting to see some of those slower start plays come to fruition. You got to bend that sucker 14 or 44 or whoever you are. Yeah, 44. So that corner coming off the edge on that look there, anytime you bring corner blitzes off of a zone play, You really want them to be a mesh point player as opposed to a running back player or a quarterback player. If you're going to bring a corner and you're going to gamble like that, like the Ravens just did with 44, you got to have them go hit the mesh point. Hit where the quarterback is actually giving the running back the ball so that you can account for both of them. Otherwise, if it's play action, that quarterback, there's nobody left. Like that quarterback has gotten around on you, there's no edge support. But if you're solely playing quarterback, what's the point of doing that if it's a handoff? So you got to hit the mesh point. That wasn't a very good job by 44. Yikes, that's going to be a free play. Little drive route there from 13. Let's see. That's a good deal. That's enough of the energy drinks because I think I'm going to have a heart attack here. Excuse me. I'm going to pull out my carbonated water because this is how you party if you're a football coach. We got a good game brewing, yo. This is just fun. Look at this, 21 personnel with trade, and that's exactly what the Ravens did. And you can watch that backside inside backer. I wouldn't be surprised if this play is not successful for the Titans. Okay, fine, you got to check it down. So remember in trade when the Titans were just killing the Ravens in trade earlier in the first half, right? Where they would take a formation and they would stop that formation and switch it around, get set and go. Well, that's because they were trapping the Ravens in a coverage that was meant to stop the run, and then they'd throw the ball on them, right? So all of a sudden, if you watch the backside inside backer 40, I can't see his number. Maybe it's just number 40. When that trade occurred, he just pointed to the safeties and told them, hey, we're in our check now. This is trade. And then they went back to a too high look, and then Tannehill had to check it down. Now you got a 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3 look. Before, Tannehill was making a living off of trade, just taking those deep shots because they got him in a coverage that was not conducive to a spread type of look. But then we had a trade come in. He pointed it off. Well done, Baltimore. Ooh, you got Tennessee running a little ISO look here. So both teams are running a little bit of gap and a little bit of zone. This is fun. Mesh point. Oh, my bad. Mesh point. I'll take you through that in just a minute, Marshall. Mesh point really only occurs with shotgun teams or out of shotgun formations. But mesh point is where the running back and the quarterback meet. And that's where a lot of the zone read stuff comes in. Way too far up the field. God, how do you guys, like, if I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan, I'm tattooing number 44 on my neck. This kid is just a pit bull. He's just a tough dude. A tough dude. So, Marshall, to get back to your point here, what is a mesh point? When you're in shotgun and the tailback is aligned in what we call a sidecar, or he's aligned just slightly off and behind the quarterback, the mesh point is the area where when the tailback is running on whatever path he's running for the running play, when that quarterback puts that ball out in front of him, that quarterback's eyes are getting elsewhere, okay? He could be reading a defensive end or an outside linebacker or something like that for the RPO game, for the read option game. So the quarterback is looking at his read this way, okay? So let's say that's the quarterback's read. The tailback crosses his face, and right here is the mesh point, where now that decision has to occur for the quarterback. And we always have the quarterback ride the mesh point. So start the ball out here and ride it through. And we tell our tailbacks, this is something you have to drill every day, or that ball is going to be on the ground. But we tell our tailbacks, if you can feel the football, you take the football. Okay? You have to be the aggressor here. Because worst case scenario, you feel the football, the quarterback's trying to pull it, you literally rip it away from him, and we go run the ball. Okay? That way it never ends up on the ground. And we haven't messed up a whole lot of mesh points. You don't see a lot of mesh points get messed up or whatever. So what I was talking about if you're going to bring a corner blitz and everybody's coming down on it because it's zone and we have that mesh point, if you're going to bring a corner blitz here and you're going to try to blitz that from the backside of zone, you have to attack the mesh point. If you go underneath here and try to attack the running back, the quarterback's just going to pull and there's nobody left. Okay? If you try to hit just the quarterback on that mesh point, I've made a mess of this. Okay? But if you hit just the quarterback and you're just a quarterback player on that mesh point, well then there's no point in really bringing a quarter blitz because you've taken yourself out of the run fit. So instead, what you have to do is mess this up, and you have to aim for the exact spot where the quarterback and the running back are coming together on the ball, so that that quarterback can't get a good pull read, and B, so that you can actually be in the play and riding the back of the tailback should he get the football. So good question, great question. I should have explained that a little better. Goose is back here. He says, looking like one heck of a game. Had to tap out to work in the house, but have been loving the breakdowns. Hey, Goose, I'm just super excited that you're around, man. This is so much fun to watch. I appreciate you, dude. 44 is Marlon Humphrey. I promise you he's better than he's playing today. Whoa! He's even better than he's playing today? Because that dude's a pit bull. He's a physical human being. Like, I watched him get pushed to the ground by number 11 and still almost break up that touchdown. But is what it is. He looks like a darn good player. AJ Brown is a major mismatch for him. He doesn't look huge, but he's a tough kid, and I appreciate those types of football players. I'm a big fan of 44 after watching this. I'll be honest, I didn't watch a ton of Ravens defense in my breakdowns. I'm a lot more fascinated by their offense, but 44 looks like a dude. Mitch Waters. Hey, welcome, Mitch. What kind of athlete is the Packers' backup? Do you see Packers possibly doing this route after Rodgers? Great question. I don't know. I know they drafted Jordan Love. I don't know much about the kid. I know Packer fans know a lot more than I do. Hey, that's a dangerous throw. That's essentially a different look off of off of triple option there with that return orbit motion to get 15 the football, but you want to get that throw out a little bit more ahead of him so he can catch it and actually run up the field. But I digress. Mitch, thanks for joining us. This is certainly a route that any team can go. I mean, it's not an easy route. You have to have an incredibly intelligent offensive line. What a catch by Brown, because, dude, if he misses that, if 15 misses that, that is a backwards pass. That's a fumble. That sucker goes out of bounds. That's not great. You either get it there or you end up having to eat the safety. But again, they're just attacking the flats now. Pretty soon, Tennessee's going to have to come out with a way to really be stout on those flat routes, and if they do that, then they have to lighten the box, or they have to kill a safety. So this is a heck of a matchup. Mitch, my apologies, man. I keep coming away from your question. You have to have a wildly intelligent offensive line to run this sort of scheme. They don't have to be the world's best athletes because you're giving them a lot of down blocks and stuff. So you're giving them advantageous angles, but they have to be incredibly smart because their jobs change with every different defensive formation. So right here, they didn't pick up their job backside. Really didn't. Now, smart play by the Titans, but the backside, so the center and the right guard didn't pick up their jobs because they changed, because the Titans bailed one and brought another, and they had an unblocked hitman at the point of attack. So really intelligent scheme. Right here, we're going to watch center and the right guard is 77 and 78 pull. We're going to get this big insert here. You've got to close that off. You can't leave 3 dudes unblocked on the backside. Sometimes you can leave 2, but you can't leave 3 because that gives them an outside zone player and 2 at the point of attack. So a little bit of a backfire there running gap schemes. That's too bad. Great special teams unit, though. Their punt coverage game is outstanding from what I've seen. I don't know. This is the first time I've seen it, but punt coverage is very, very good. And that probably comes from that dude who's setting your point. That's your long snapper. So nice play by the long snapper there to set the point and allow the wings and ends to come around on it. Packer fans, you should take a look at that. That's what punt coverage is supposed to look like. I digress. Marshall says, first play of the drive, and it looks like the Titans are moving to a 4-3 look. Likely because they have to. That's a great look, by the way, Marshall. Great observation. They have to start figuring out ways to account for that fullback in the flats. So remember that last drive, that number 42, that 300-pound fullback, that backup right guard essentially, he killed the Titans, right? So now, as they come out in very similar looks, the Ravens are going to keep coming out and seeing what they can do. But you're right now. Now they're coming out in a 4-3 look, where they're going to bend him down and still keep 2 here. Okay? So good adjustment by the Titans. Now you've got a flats player, but now you've got a B gap to frontside A player. Now you've got a backside A. Now you've got a frontside B, and now you have all your gaps covered, right? Like that's a good adjustment because now you've taken that away and you're still gap sound. The problem is you've got a 7-man box now, so that means you can only have 4 for coverage. So that's where the Ravens took advantage of it early down, and they brought this orbit motion in, and then came back on return motion with a little bit of this look, it's essentially triple option where you're putting a cornerback in space. And then you're having to drill a safety down to run to that flat. And then all they did, I know this looks like a mess, my apologies, but on that second down play, what they did was just load it. Okay? Now, this outside backer is in conflict with that throw to the tight end. Now, obviously, it only took up 4 yards or something like that, but the Ravens are really good in the pass game at taking what they'll give you. If they give you 4 yards, and then they give you another 4 yards, well, now you're ahead of the chains at 3rd and 2. Unfortunately, they ran GT, and the Titans did a really nice job of getting some of that pressure stunted, got 3 unblocked to the backside, so they took care of it, but really, really nice little chess match going on here. Love this stuff. I'm here for it, baby. 2 plays in a row, and it looks like the Titans are going to 4-3. I agree. Yep, it's a good adjustment by them. Can't wait to see how Baltimore adjusts, and it's just cat and mouse, baby, cat and mouse. Have the Ravens been stacking the box today, or is the D-line dominating? Great question. The linebackers are playing like you wouldn't freaking believe, in my opinion, for Baltimore. And again, I'm not very familiar with their defense, but these linebackers, I'm going to watch on this play as Derrick Henry starts to run some of this wide zone. They are super patient. So as you can see, that's not quite a stacked box. It's now that they bring Jonnu Smith in, it becomes a 7-man box. But otherwise, it's a 6-man box. So they're down a man, but the linebackers have been so patient and reading off of their D-line. And then 48, you can just see they're really late to play action. Really late. And that's not a... That play itself wasn't picking on 48, but the dude is really late to play action, but he's violent and downhill. Ooh, you got a roughing the passer call there. I didn't see any of that, but I mean, I wasn't also watching the quarterback. I was watching the play action role of the Mike Backer, that 48 kid. I think it's a mix of the D-line being stacked and dominating. It looks like the Ravens are matching the zone runs by the Titans very well by filling the respective gaps. Dead on, Marshall. There's that 48 kid in conflict. Then he's like, ah! And he runs out to nowhere. He should have, I don't know the defensive call, but my opinion is he should have run the other way. You never have to cross the field as a Mike Backer if you're coming out of play action. You should just go stack, track, fall back, where you just go replace that spot you came from, because there's obviously a reason they're running play action, and that's to get you to fill that hole. Man, these linebackers are so patient. Let me show you why. And it doesn't really matter what the Ravens front is in, but I'm going to show you kind of out of their base front here when they're running a tight look. So this is a 4-eye. What a 4-eye means is he's on the inside shade of the tackle. Same thing here, inside shade, which means it makes him a real bear to get in zone, and I'll show you that after this play. Titans again loading up personnel-wise. Man, they go heavy personnel sets. Holy smokes. If they go ahead and attack that snap hand to the center, they're screwed. That's what they did there. Center's getting pressure. That's a good throw, good timing throw by Tannehill. But back to this and why this play of the inside backers is so nice. Let's put an H there, a tight end on the line, because they usually use that. Man, they have to go super heavy pass protection. That's a 2-man route combo. That safety is, that number 32 really let his team down on that play, because they were in full max protect. That was only a 2-man route combo. They had 9 in protecting on that, so that safety would have drilled down like he was supposed to. That could have been a pick. Oh, look at that play. Dude, this number 40 and number 48, they're just always around the football. So here, back to this. Let me show you how wide zone works, okay? You're going to actually step around this nose, hoping that the backside guard actually has the ability to get him. You're going to hook that 4-eye. You're going to double this up to that backer. You're going to double here, and then as you double up, you're hoping that this backer flows in so that the center can come off of that nose and pick him up. Then, because it's wide zone and not inside zone, your aiming point for your tailback is a little wider. Now it's the butt crack of the play side guard, and you're hoping that center can come off, and this backer is just screaming and playing too fast where the center can pick him up on pack. Okay, this kid's doing a really, really nice job. Nice open field tackle, 4-8. This kid, 48 sometimes it's 40, depending on which way they're running the football. He's doing a really nice job when he sees zone away from him of just settling. He's not just screaming over the top where the center can pick him up. So what's happening is you're getting this really long double team, and the nose is eating it, and then he just kind of slow plays it and knifes him behind and makes the play. That's what's happening, and they're doing a really freaking good job of it. Or sometimes the Titans make the adjustment of just sending the center all the way up to that backer because he is slow playing it, or sending the backside guard up to the inside backer. And then the nose dominates the single block he has. And they're doing a nice job of playing it. Look out! Man, what a play. 48 and 58. I think the Ravens are maybe starting to use 48 like he should be. Think of him as a missile defensive lineman that every once in a while can drop into coverage because, whoo, baby, we got a good one brewing, folks. We got a really good one brewing. This is fun. Justin, speaking of the Ravens linebackers, 48 and 40, both rookies. Holy crap. I knew 48 was a rookie, but 40 is a rookie? Because, look, 48 is really impressive just because of how physical he is. But if 40 is a rookie and has the ability to slow play and read like that, whoo, baby. Whoo, baby. That is really, really good stuff. I'll show you again here. Let's go out of their base front to where they're actually just going to drill an outside backer down over that tight end or over that H. And the nice thing about it is if they go tight end wing, you just stack a corner. So basically we can consider that side removed. If this is 40 and this is 48 and they're running wide zone right here, where by count this should be a 0 where the center is responsible for him, and what they're really trying to do is get that big double team here and push that sucker all the way up into the flow path, okay? They're trying to push him into the lap of 48, knowing that because dudes don't stand still when the ball is snapped, 40 is likely going to come into his path. And then they're going to try to get this big double team up to that guy and get this guy hooked on the backside, and then you're just kind of one-on-one there, right? So you're looking to get these really two nice double teams at the point of attack, get movement, and then still find yourself in an area where you're actually off the ball. So 48's coming down, doing a nice job of fitting here, and this guy just slow plays so well, he's actually coming behind it. What's happening? Oh, this is a commercial, I think. Or something else is trying. I don't know what's happening right now. When all you can tacos is think about is the post. Okay, that was a commercial. Thank God, because I was looking like sometimes it's tacos, and then sometimes it's like the Titans scoring and running over Patrick Queen. I don't know. Whatever. Okay, so getting back to what I was originally saying, what the Titans have done as an adjustment is letting this nose get overtaken by the center and actually bending this backside guard around here so that this becomes a one-on-one block so that they can actually pick up this dude because he was slow playing so well. So they take that backside guard and tell him go chip the nose, but then you got to work to that backside linebacker. Well, now this nose is just pushing that center around wherever he wants. He's making that tailback stop his feet in the backfield, having to cut back and forth. Then this guy's knifing in, or this guy's splitting a double team. I'm impressed with those Ravens linebackers, man, especially for the simple fact that those dudes might be, or those dudes are, according to Justin, those dudes are rookies. Like, that's crazy. That is unheard of, bro. And hey, good for them. Like, if you're going to keep playing like that, unfortunately what that usually means is about 3 years down the road, the Ravens are going to be broke because those dudes are going to have to get paid. Excuse me, my apologies there. I am going to, I just have to take 1 second. My wife was texting me. I just want to make sure that I'm still married. Yay, I'm still married. She just wanted to know what I want for supper, so that's good news. It's always nice when you find out you're still married, and especially as a football coach, that your wife hasn't left you because literally all you do is talk about football and think about football, all that sort of good stuff. When we're in season, that poor woman probably feels like a single parent raising 2 kids on her own. It's just, you know, I'm throwing money into the fund per se, but I'm also spending it as fast as humanly possible because all I do is eat gas station food and take out Mexican. But whatever. She's a saint, man. Football wives are saints. I cannot wait for this next drive. Can't wait to see how this develops. How Baltimore responds. Start of the 4th quarter. Yo, we're getting close. Not quite the offensive shootout I thought it was going to be as of right now. Kudos to both teams defensively for being prepared for this. This is just late 80s, early 90s, smash mouth, really smart football. it's so cool how football is so cyclical. So we talked about a lot of zone type of stuff previously, like how zone works and all the RPOs and all the conflicts. You can put defenses in that way. So defenses start to adjust, and they get to really smart things like fit freeze or 2-gap, 1-gap or 3-4 tight and all these different spread buster defenses. But then offenses find out, hey, what beats them? Power out of single wing looks. It's just super cool. There, hey, told you. I'm not going to say it for the Ravens fans in the room, but so I'm not going to say what I was going to say about Lamar. However, he just hit the deep hole off of play action, and that's, I mean, teams when they play the Ravens are going to give you that. They're going to give you cover 1 or cover 3, meaning that is going to be open. If you can hit that consistently, you're going to either A, make them break out of that cover 3 shell and you can kill them in the run game, or B, you just take those layups and keep going all day long. Look at this, a little bit of load read. Man alive, if they can get movement. If 83 could have got movement on the line of scrimmage with his block, that could have been a fun one too. Load read option. Load means you add an extra blocker somehow. So in that case, they did it with 42, where they just kind of seal loaded that where the offensive line ran away, and he was able to read the backside, and then it's called a protected disconnect, or if Lamar decides to take the ball, he's got a blocker or two out in front of him. 83 was running with the crack, and then 42 was his lead blocker or his load blocker. More GT. Man, they are just taking the layups off of GT with this 15 kid. It's just smart offensive football. I hope that kid's not hurt. I saw his ankle kind of do a little weird thing. He's been lightning in a bottle for him. 15 has. So, I mean, they're just taking the layups from cover 3. Like, the Titans are being a little stubborn and saying, we're not going to get out of cover 3, and layups. Even if that outside backer didn't fall down, what he's supposed to do is go run in the window of 89, who ran the exact same route. So they're running mirrored concepts, and that outside backer would have had to run into the route combo of 89, which leaves 15 wide open. I mean, now here's a standard G look. I wanted him to get up, maybe up the field a little bit more. I don't know. I don't know what his read is on outside zone with a G pull. But I'm missing comments here. My apologies. The linebacker slipped on that Hollywood Brown run. That's unfortunate. Yeah, Marshall, I think the run you're talking about is the GT disconnect where Lamar Jackson threw it to the flats. The linebacker did slip on that, but it wouldn't have mattered because he has to run into the window that was created by 89, the tight end. So that window's still there, and that dude ain't running down an athlete from that position. Not a chance. A little split zone look. Where were you throwing that? That's my one knock on Jackson, though, is when he's coming off of movement, when his feet aren't set and he's coming off of movement, like in some of this RPO game type of stuff, he tends to throw at the sternum or behind the receiver, which is really dangerous. Best case scenario, that's incomplete, but whew, a lot of times that thing can be picked. They're talking to a 42, though, so I wonder if he was actually supposed to run more of a slip curl as opposed to a pure flats there. He might have run the wrong route. I don't know. Empty formation. His feet are set. Ooh, nothing there. Bummer. I'm not a huge fan of the fade looks on third down. A lot of teams do them. Third and fourth down fades. It's a 50-50 ball. I think you have better options running some designated routes to get dudes open. Like, you're both running fades there. I didn't like that. I think you got some more options. But one thing to keep in mind here moving forward is Tennessee will bring 6 defenders when you check to empty. So when you have 5 offensive linemen that can block like this is an empty look, Tennessee's going to bring 6, which means they're going to only be in man or man 1. Yo, he missed it. Wow. I think Justin Tucker usually makes that. That's crazy. So keep in mind here, when you get into an empty look, what Tennessee has shown with relative consistency is the fact that they want to bring 6. Now, you can only block 5, right? So if Tennessee's in this look, here, backer with a curl here, that means you only have 5 for coverage. Okay, if they're going to bring 6, you only have 5 for coverage, which, sure, it's a good call blitz-wise because one dude is going to be unblocked here, right? But that means it is straight man across the board. Okay, so it's straight man-to-man, and the thing with man-to-man is if one receiver wins and you can hit him, it's probably a touchdown. The other thing that you have to consider is you have really good blocking angles here, so you can set up and run a little Q draw or Q motion. As long as you just run away from where that unblocked hitman comes from, you set, you stare at him, and then you go out the back door. Because if you get this block right here, there's no safeties up here in man coverage. So Lamar could take that sucker to the house. I would be looking for that, a little bit of Q draw or Q action out of empty here coming up when the Ravens do get the ball back, knowing that Tennessee will bring pressure, will bring 6 when you go empty. That could be a really fun one to do. That is rare. I think it was, yeah, I think he was playing it to draw and just never moved. Oh, possibly. Justin, good comment. He might have been playing a little bit of draw there. I don't know. Not exactly sure what was going on there. All right, my apologies. I get a little sidetracked from time to time, just trying to learn more about the game. I guess a lot like you guys. So excited for this. How does this Baltimore Ravens defense respond? You know, Tennessee has shown a propensity to go super heavy. My guess is at some point in time we're going to see trade again, and I really like what Baltimore did out of trade. So this is just something we would just call Trey left or Trey right. I'd rather not use that. So just to kind of further explain what Baltimore has done out of trade, when you get this look and you're thinking they're going to try to run wide zone here because that's what the personnel and the formation are telling you, you know, and you're keeping your single high safety here because it's looking like a running formation, right? And then you can start to drill this guy down into the box, okay? Now that's looking like a running formation, and then all of a sudden when Tennessee snaps that trade stuff that they've been snapping to, where all of a sudden maybe they put the Y on here and get the H over here or whatever it is, to now all of a sudden a more spread look. Instead of keeping that here, what they've done now is double call it, and now you can run some of your quarters coverage where you're flat responsible. Okay, still get a 3-man rush, you can still trigger one of these dudes and have one of these dudes go to low hole. Like, they've done a nice job adjusting to trade. Very impressed with that. That should have been picked. 58. That's what we call a protected coverage that 58 was in. I don't know if he slipped or what, to where he was actually behind the receiver, but you can see he's protected over the top by 44. And when you're protected over the top, you can undercut a route. It's not expensive to undercut a route. So go underneath and go get that ball. You protect your underbacker, your outside backer number 58, you protect him with that over by number 44 so that he can go jump that route. They schemed up a pick there. They just didn't execute it. Again, really condensed box here, running some load wide zone. And whoo! Excellent effort by 95, because that could have gone. What they did was actually crack that backside inside backer too. So what Tennessee's starting to do here is they're really starting to account for that flow of those linebackers by going like this with a wing in and a tight guy here. Watch that crack come, number 60, was it? 64? I didn't see who it was, but this backside inside backer, as we're running zone this way, we've noted that that's that guy, right? That's the dude who's making all the plays. So what they're doing is starting to curl back on him. If they get that sucker's going to pop. Great coverage again. This 44, I'm telling you, this 44, second and short is such a dangerous down because it's not expensive at all to take a shot. But this 44 is a dude, man. He's a dude. Full slide protection. Full slide max protection. He had to throw that away. That was excellent coverage, man. Holy smokes. Full slide to the boundary means Baltimore is doing a really nice job with this number 90. I can't see him. He's the stand-up end as I see it right now, 90-something. They're sliding all the way away from him. 90, maybe it's just, oh, what a hit. Maybe it's just number 90. I'm not exactly sure. But they're afraid of it. They're afraid of that defensive end, and they're dictating a full slide with max protection in it. So, hey, isn't Elliott the dude I was making fun of earlier and saying he didn't do a great job dropping into the hole as a safety? I'm literally telling you everything that I say personnel-wise is wrong. I'm going to tell you that Lamar is such an intelligent quarterback who throws a good ball, then he's going to throw a pick. Then I'm going to tell you this Elliott kid doesn't drop very well into the low hole as a safety, and he's going to go make possibly one of the bigger pass breakups of the game. So I'm an idiot is what I'm saying. I'm an idiot when it comes to personnel. I know X's and O's, but I'm always wrong. I'm like that FedEx commercial, man. I am always wrong. Deshaun Elliott. Thank you, Justin. Deshaun Elliott is the guy who's making me look like a ding-dong. Appreciate that from you. Deshaun Elliott. How old is that dude? Does anyone know? Deshaun Elliott, do you know, is he going to be around for a little while? Because the more I learn about this Baltimore defense, the more I think they're going to be a Baltimore defense for quite some time. So we'll see. Can't wait to see your thoughts on that. Let me show you here, though, the way the Titans are starting to run some of this wide zone to get Derrick Henry those creases, like I was telling you a little bit about earlier, is they're going to start to expand that and play with a wing on the inside, which means if you do want to run a defensive end, he has to be inside aligned, otherwise you're going to have an uncovered gap. And then you're going to run here with a tackle, a nose, and an end if you want to stay in your forefront, and then stack, stack, stack those backers, okay? So essentially they're giving you a 7-man surface, you're countering with a 7-man surface, and then you can stack a corner, start to drop some safeties in, however you want to play this stuff, backside, whatever, that doesn't really matter. But now as you're taking a look at some of this wide zone stuff going strong, now you're essentially allowing him to be reached, and now this tackle, instead of him having to get out to the end, he's starting to wrap to that backer. Okay, which is dangerous because this was your slow play backer. Because you've got him in here, now you can both go get this end and drive him up to that backer. That's a pretty good looking combo here. And then all you have to do is wrap this center around. So what he's going to do is stay heavy here in case that end or that backer comes in. And then he can wrap to this backside backer knowing that you can reach that. So they're starting to, Tennessee is really starting to protect themselves from that backside flow of those linebackers. And if Baltimore doesn't adjust here and start to get these guys a little bit more uncovered, Derrick Henry is really going to pop one coming up. So what I would do if I was a defensive coordinator, and I know I'm pretty much like a high school level type of dude, but what I would do as a defensive coordinator is ask them to cut it back. Okay, so I overload the heavy side, knowing that this is now a problem for us, by running a 6-tech here, a 5-tech here, kind of treating it like unbalanced, and then bringing it here, here, to here, because that screws up their numbers, right? Now all of a sudden they can't really run that type of look. Are you going to bend this guard back? Fine. If you're going to reach that nose and bend that guard back, who's blocking this dude? You're going to ask this dude to come inside on wide zone and crack like that? I'll take that dude against that dude all day. So watch for that adjustment. Little G read again with outside zone, and that's why you just trust athletes in space, baby. 27's going to get the edge. It's a good play. It's a great read by Lamar, too. He's starting to really actually read it as opposed to just guessing, and good read. Oh, I guess I had some sort of skip there, or lag or something. I got an ad that came up, and then I lost everything, so my apologies. Here we go. First down again. They're starting to spread it out as well. Slide protection. Oof. That arm angle was bizarre. Oh, no. This brown kid just... Oh, okay. Maybe he just slipped. That arm angle was just bizarre from Lamar Jackson, where he fit that sucker inside on a little snag route. What you do with your receivers is you always teach the receiver... Look at that arm angle. Whoo-wee! You always teach receivers how to read man versus zone coverage as well, so that you can start to run some of these option routes. Now that was Spy, So Tennessee played that well. It's just sometimes your dudes are better than their dudes. Jimmy's and Joe's, baby. Fullback ISO. Ooh, I think he got it. Usually you don't see 42 get pushed back like that. Drafted him in 18. He missed basically his whole first season with injury. He's elevated off practice squad when Ravens cut Earl Thomas this summer. All right, good to know. So he's a young dude too. This defense is going to be scary. Well, at least the back half of the defense is going to be scary. Look at that inside step by 72. Oh, God, that's a thing of beauty. That's how you step inside. It's called a false step, which actually is more demeaning than it sounds. It's not a negative connotation on it. The false step was so good by 72 to dig inside of that inside tech and just drive him off with a big double team. That's gorgeous. And look at how drawn up you get those backers. When you get those inside backers having to respect that stuff, now it's layups over the middle for a tough dude like Mark Andrews. I think Drew was right, man. Raw talent-wise, he is on the level of a Travis Kelce or something like that. Look at that. He's just violent, too. He's supposed to get rerouted right there by number 50. Number 50, that linebacker for Tennessee, is supposed to come put his helmet right in the chops, right in the sternum of Andrews, and run him off of that route. And dude just hit him with a swim move like a D lineman and just shucked that kid. Like, that's good stuff. Drew, you're the man. Good call. That is good stuff. I love how much you're starting to see the fullback, too. What a great answer. Putting 42 in. This is power read. Power read with Lamar Jackson is what that was. So the fullback and the pulling guard were kicking. So the fullback takes the first level. That pulling guard is going to wrap, and you'll send it right here, 27 across. Watch the pull guard wrap as the fullback kicks, and then all Lamar Jackson has to do is read that that play side inside backer. If he's going to run downhill, if that guy's going to come downhill to kill power, then he can't take that A gap, and that's exactly where Lamar Jackson goes. That is gorgeous. This is just, it's unfair. At times it's unfair. You got to make sure it's working, but boy, oh boy, that's good stuff. You're running gap schemes and reading people. That's tough. That's tough defensively. Exactly right, Marshall. I think you're dead on with that assumption with saying all those plays earlier from the Ravens really paying dividends now. The Titans defense seems so conflicted, and they are. If you're playing that play side backer position, if you're playing play side inside backer and you're seeing power read come your way, where you have a guard and a fullback kicking out, so you're supposed to be playing box, right? You saw a lot of success from the Titans playing box in that first quarter where you're boxing it all in and really squeezing that edge down. So you're supposed to be playing box and you're supposed to shoot that gap when the guard pulls. Well, now the quarterback is one gap inside of you because you did your job. Either way, you're wrong. It's the danged if you do, danged if you don't type of situation. So really, really good stuff from Baltimore here, man, so far. Obviously, Titans are playing dang good defense. This is a clinic on how to play power teams as well. Titans are playing some dang good defense, very good defense. It's just such a beautiful, glorious chess match. Vrabel and Roman, man, just sign me up for this. I am here for it. This is just cool. I love it. I love it. Big play here, 3rd and 6. Play clock's winding down, baby. You better get set. How are you going to read this? Here's that little roll option I was telling you about earlier. Oh, no, he slipped. That little roll option where you get Lamar Jackson on the edge. We saw it in the low red zone where now they're really, really trying to come up and set the edge with the corner. And then that number 83 kid slipped. Otherwise, he probably had the first down. When they try to set the edge or set the force with the secondary force player, the corner, you're in trouble. What's going on here? Now, I don't have audio, but John Harbaugh's on the field screaming at people, so somebody, if you could, if you're paying attention, I'd really appreciate if you could fill me in the comments as to what's going on here. You got the play clock down at 10. You can't use motion here, unfortunately. You got to just go, unless you're trying to draw them off sides. Oh, they snapped it. Reverse pivot. There it is. That's layups. That is layups. Why do we have a flag here, though? Offensive pass interference, is that what I'm seeing? Did 83 come in and crack? Because if that throw is behind the line of scrimmage, there's no such thing as offensive pass interference. Okay, if that throw is behind the line of scrimmage, and I don't remember where it went, but if that throw is behind the line of scrimmage, you can block legally. I think that's what Harbaugh is yelling about right here. I don't know. That shouldn't be OPI. If that ball is behind the line of scrimmage, if it's thrown behind the line of scrimmage, you're allowed to block. Whoa! Even if that's a pivot route. He's just protecting himself. I'm not going to get in on the yelling about stuff about officials, but I will be honest that I don't necessarily agree with that call either. And maybe I'm biased because of all the film study I've done on the Ravens. That's certainly a possible thing, because I wouldn't mind seeing them win just so I can continue to see this offense. But I don't think I exactly agree with a couple of the calls, and that is what it is, because at the end of the day, my opinion really doesn't matter whatsoever. That's too bad that they called offensive pass interference on that, especially if that ball was thrown behind the line of scrimmage, because you can block everybody you want then. Is what it is, folks. All right, let's see how Baltimore adjusts to tight end wing type of stuff from Tennessee, especially when they're adding that gap. I wouldn't be surprised to see this formation come out again, where they're going to have a tight end and a wing, what we call a sniffer, okay? But a wing in here, what that's doing is adding a gap, so it's putting your play side defensive end in a tough spot alignment-wise. If he continues to go here or here, so if he's either on the outside hip of the tackle or the inside hip of the tight end that's on the line, he's in a bad spot, because then he can get reached by the tackle. So technically, well, I guess not technically, but I guess what I would do is put him head up over that tight end in what we call a 6 technique. And then I would go even techniques across the board here, where you're over the tackle, over the center, over the tackle, and that allows you to steal a gap back from the offense as they've stolen a gap here, okay? So it can get you in a little bit of a bind if you're not playing for cutback, but what that's doing is it's stopping this guard from curling back too much. So now you got to ask, are you going to use your backside guard to come try to hook that nose and curl your center back, or are you going to keep your center here and get this double team and hopefully you can push back onto that? Same thing here. Where are you going to do that? Where are you going to do this now? Are you going to try to insert, have him false step? So it gives you a little bit better opportunity to exactly hold the edge and trigger into that C gap that they're trying to stretch this sucker to. They're trying to stretch the C gap and then bend it way back as they start to get these backers protected here. So I don't know. I would love to see Baltimore kind of make an adjustment there alignment-wise. I think if they align it, they can screw with Tennessee's rules on wide zone and kind of mess with some of that tight end wing stuff that Tennessee's been using to protect the flow of those backside inside backers. And it could just come down to alignment assignment, which would be kind of cool. The Ducks. Hey, Ducks, thanks for joining us. Doesn't the ball have to be caught first before you can block downfield in the NFL, even if it's behind the line of scrimmage? To be honest with you, I don't know. I don't know the NFL's rule on that, and if they differ from, especially high school, especially Wisconsin high school. I know if we throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage, we can have everybody blocking everywhere we want. As a matter of fact, sometimes when we run our T's fly stuff, we'll make it the job of the, oof, that's a big stiff arm. We'll make it the job of the on receiver to just make a beeline and ear hole the deep safety, knowing that we could just throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage and be okay with it. So it's a great question, and I got to be honest with you, I don't know. But what we like to do is put the T in fly motion here, and then use our Z to just go ear hole that safety, and ask that T to either A, make the corner miss if the corner's disciplined, or B, usually what happens is the corner runs thinking that this is a route, and then when we just block the crap out of that safety, he's like, ah, and then we get a wheel route out of it. So great question. I don't know if the NFL differs from that or not. I guess I was just assuming that it was the same as high school stuff, but you may be right in that, in which case, tip of the hat to you, man, because that is a really good thing to make note of. All right, we're on a commercial break here, at least for me, because I'm quite a ways behind probably where most of you are at with a stream, and then obviously the lag from YouTube Live and being broadcast. But if there's anything you want to see or questions you have and stuff like that, please feel free to drop a comment. I don't know where it is, in the comment box, and then drop a comment question in there. And if you're not thinking, hey, I got any questions or anything like that I need to see, always consider helping us out. Even if you don't help Ryan and JJ out monetarily, it's super going to help them out if you give them like a follow on Twitter. If you follow at Pack Daddy and at JJ Leahy, they're good dudes. At JJ Leahy, Lahey, good dudes, but even better than good dudes, they are really good football minds, and they help me out with all sorts of personnel stuff, and they're really intelligent dudes. Otherwise, like the Packernet Podcast Facebook page. You're all here at Pack Daddy NFL on YouTube, so appreciate you swinging by. Give them a subscription. If these are the types of things you like, I believe, Ryan, Mr. Pack Daddy, I believe we're going to try to keep this going through the playoffs. Right now, I don't have any football until March for my contract, so we can try to keep this sucker going. Who knows? Maybe through the Super Bowl and do these things maybe once a weekend, and if this is something you like, just keep popping in and tuning in. And obviously, if you hit that subscribe button on YouTube, you'll be notified of when we're doing this as well. So, cool. Let's see the Ravens' adjustment for wide zone. It's a one-score game with 4 minutes left, man. You got to love this. This is playoff football. Yep, that's exactly what they've done. They've overloaded to the heavy side here, and now they're just playing with one true inside backer and stacking over the top. 48 he's so lost in coverage. My guess is he'll get better, but he's just so heavy at the line of scrimmage that, well, that's too bad. I don't know if I agree with that call at all. Yuck. It is what it is. Marshall says, well, Coach, this was fun. I don't have any more questions. I'm going to dip out now. See you next time. Always good hanging with you, Marshall. Just love it. Just love having you around, dude. Now you got a little, just from alignment and assignment, you got 48 able to come backside on, that was inside zone, not wide zone, but you were able to get 48 in the mix there just by changing the alignment and assignment. So well done by well done by Baltimore to counter that. Who's Baltimore's defensive coordinator? I could look that up, but I'm kind of lazy. Because the guy's good. He's making the adjustments. Well, I can't say he's good because he's making the adjustments I would make. He's making way more money and way more successful than I am. Here's a little inside zone, and what a great play. Look at that kid. Who's this little duffer here? I need to see his number, 36. Somebody tell me who 36 is, because that is a tough play. He literally took on a right tackle going left, and he pushed him back, 36. That's an awesome play. This is a big one. Don't jump, don't jump, don't jump, don't jump. That's what you're telling your dudes right now. Read your key, read your key, read your key. They're going to try to get you to draw offside using motion. And woof, woof. What a gutsy play by Tennessee. Holy smokes. That's nasty. Usually they're just trying to draw you offsides here, so you're just really don't jump, don't jump, don't jump. But you did give them an open gap. You don't want to do that on 4th and short. You gave him play side A gap open on the defensive line. At the very least, you could have drilled a linebacker into play side A gap and just made him go over the top. Tannehill, anyways. So this is getting good, baby. This is good. Drive on that ball. 2-4. 2-minute warning now. Man, this is something else. Now, if you're a defensive coordinator, obviously you're thinking you can't give up the big one, but what you have to weigh is how soft in coverage do I want to be? And if I'm a defensive coordinator, I'm willing to give up that little speed out to the flats in front of, as long as 2-4 keeps it in front and keeps it in bounds. You're going to keep that clock running. You know, the big thing is to keep that clock running, but also make them dink and dunk it down the field. It's okay. You're allowed to give up yards right now. even if they get like to the high red zone, what we call the high red zone, the 30, the 25, now all of a sudden that field really starts to condense, right? If they get 1st and 10 at the 25-yard line, that means the farthest that they can advance possibly down the field is 35 yards. So you went from covering 70 yards to now you only have to cover 35 yards deep and 53 1/3 wide, which really helps you out defensively. And then obviously the closer they get to that, the more that condenses and the better your chances are because you don't have to cover as much ground. So it's kind of the bend don't break philosophy, and I know a lot of people hate that. I understand it, but it's not pure prevent. But I don't know, whoever Baltimore's D coordinator is, if they are gutsy, one of the things you could do, and I've seen it work before, is you can show prevent and come out with a robber underneath it. So you could show a 4-high shell here, okay, whatever Tennessee's coming out in. You know they're probably throwing the ball quite a bit, maybe not all a bit, but they could be throwing some sort of look like this. You could come out in a 4-high shell and spin to cover 3 and try to rob some of that low hole stuff, or even better, knowing that they're probably going to start hitting the flats a little bit more, is you can send a corner underneath it and kind of go to more of a cover 3 look with some robber stuff. And if you can jump that, you may be able to get the pick. It's risky, but you might be able to send a corner, a safety, some sort of robber underneath it and end this ball game right now. Wink Martindale, I should have known that. Wink is an awesome DC. Justin says 36 is Chuck Clark. Chuck Clark has some teeth. I know nothing about him other than the fact that that dude wants to get physical and wants to play football. I like that dude. If you give me a dude who wears number 36 on defense and you tell me that he can push around a right tackle and stop a 3rd and short conversion, that's probably a good football player. I like that. Is he a nickel? What position does he play? It looks like he's kind of lined up at safety right now, or maybe a catch nickel, because they might be playing some invert 2 here. Oh yeah, that's it, baby. Now that dude fell down, so I'm watching for a flag, and I didn't mean for my fandom to come out. I'm not really a Ravens fan per se, but what the hell. Today I'm a Ravens fan. Oh, don't stomp on the logo though, bro. Don't stomp on the logo though, bro. There's still a lot of time left. Don't stomp on the logo. Yeah, Tennessee still has 2 timeouts yet, so you got to manufacture first downs. Thankfully, Baltimore is built for manufacturing first down against loaded boxes. So, holy crap, they did run trap coverage, guys. So number 49, I don't know if you noticed this, but number 49 is undercutting that and carrying that. It's called funnel technique. So he's carrying that seam up, and it looks like 24 is staying over the top, but look at 49. He's forced that to one place. Now, I know the receiver fell down, whatever, but that thing is going to be a tight throw anyways. And if you notice that backside safety coming up over the top, meaning they're baiting it. They're asking that throw to happen, and then they're going to either let 24 jump it, or when that dude fell down, 24 is like, I can just stay right here and end it. So, yeah, I don't like the stomping on the logo. That's a little bit of fire and stuff like that, and obviously it's going to bring a flag, whatever. But that's a great defensive call. Now, I thought, to be fair, I thought the trap was going to go to the flats. I thought they were going to try to run a trap to the flats, knowing that that's probably where they're throwing. This is why Wink Martindale makes a lot of money and I don't. They actually ran the trap to the middle of the field, thinking that they were going to try to hit a seam, so it's kind of that next level stuff. Let me show you. So what actually happened here is they're going to try to run this little seam here, but they did a great job walling it. It's called wall technique with 49 and funneling it up here while running some catch, okay? So the corner could wall off over the top. The safety is way over the top. So even if 49 didn't wall it and had to go respect the flats, 24 could then jump underneath it, knowing that you got a covering safety up over the top. But just as it happened, 49 was able to wall it, and he would have forced a tight window even if the receiver didn't fall down. And then 24 is just sitting here thinking, thank you. Like, you made it make sense for me to be here. So, great call. getting some of that trap to the middle of the field. If I was a D coordinator, I would have had the trap going to the flat, and I might have given up that seam route. So, well done. Good on you, Wink. That's fun. All right. Thank you, Justin, for filling me in on all of this, because you're smarter than I am when it comes to Ravens, for sure. Backstory on the taunting call. Tennessee did that to our home field after they beat us earlier this season. Major revenge game. Yeah, there's very, very few times where I think 15 yards is worth it. I don't know. Bottom line, if you can run this clock out and pick up some first downs, then maybe that 15 yards isn't so expensive. I don't know. God, I love rivalry football. I love playoff football. That's super cool to know. Chuck Clark is a strong safety. Thank you for that. Whew. That dude is a strong, he puts the strong in strong safety. He initially lined up like a nickel, so that was sweet. You got to manufacture some first downs here, at least one. You got to get Tennessee to use all 3 timeouts here. It's still a one-possession game, and they are going to pack the box, and that's how you do it. Put them in conflict? No way. Oh, that was the right idea. Just execute that sucker. A little play-action levels look there. Unfortunately, that stops the clock, but that is a high percentage throw. So watch this trap coverage coming up here. As this seam starts to hit right here, 49 is going to wall, 24 stays over the top, 32 is over the top more, which means they're going to let, even if that doesn't happen, they're going to let, even if 14 doesn't fall down, they're going to let 24 undercut that route. That's trap or robber coverage. He's going to stay on top until the ball's thrown, and then he has the freedom to undercut that sucker, knowing he's still got that single high safety over the top. So great play call by Wink. That is so good. How are you going to manufacture a first down here out of 2nd and 10? You're going to run your good old-fashioned quarterback is better than everybody else on the field. Go down. Give yourself up. Stay in bounds. Smart play. Smart football player. Don't you ever tell me that dude is not a smart football player. I'm going to go off on the next person who says that online. He's a good athlete, but he's not an intelligent thrower of the football. He's not a smart football player. Like, this is all you've been running all game long, baby. But instead, 83 came with an unbelievable crack block. I can't wait to watch this in film. 83 might have just won you the football game. What a block. Let me show you that. Oh, God, I love when receivers do their job. We have an award that we give out at my level of football called Honorary O-Lineman, and it's for dudes who wear numbers in the single digits or in the 80s, are wide receivers. It's for those dudes. And that's exactly what this dude did. Damn it, this marker sucks. This is so cool, okay? What they did is pull that backside guard like they've been doing the whole time with a tight end, and then 83 is your Z, okay? Now, what Tennessee did is they went with a little bit of spill coverage here, knowing that they were probably going to get that pull, okay, from the Q. They went with spill coverage, so they're trying to force it outside, and Z came in, number 83, and walled off that backer, and didn't just wall him off so that Lamar could hit this, but he pushed him inside. An outside backer got pushed by a dude who wears number 83. Love that. Don't know who that dude is. Don't care, to be honest with you. That dude has to get some recognition in the locker room after the game, because he might have just, along with 24 and everything else, that all this complimentary football, this number 77's had a good game. But man alive, when you get a receiver to sell out to blocking like that, you do everything you can to keep him around. That's good stuff. This is such a fun game to watch. This is just dumb fun. I love this. Thank you all for hanging out with me today, by the way. This is just, as we start to wind down the game here, after the game I'm going to have to dip relatively quickly, just because my wife wants to go for a run, so I have to take care of the kids, and not have to take care of the kids. It's not like it's this overwhelming task or anything, but yeah, I take care of the kids when she goes for a run, so I won't be able to hang around for too long, but I am going to sit here and watch the Ravens just manufacture first downs. This is good. I thought they had the first there, but I don't know if you noticed, they used some of Tennessee's action against them. They put a tight end on and put that wing inside, so they manufactured a gap. They just stole another gap and fired right behind that. So they used Tennessee's offense against them. They just didn't use it in wide zone. They just went inside zone on it. So that's awesome. It's fun to watch. I am super excited to see this Ravens team in action again. Chiefs, Bills, I don't know. Ravens fans, tell me who you'd rather see. It doesn't really matter to me. I just want to watch the Ravens again. This is just a ton of fun. Notice how quickly the game changed offensively when you put 42 in. When you have that kind of, when you're running a single wing type of offense and you have the kid that can load up an inside zone for you and go be a violent downhill blocker for your run game, or can really start to break the defense's rules apart on the inside when he runs, oh, he got it more, go down. That's your ball game, folks. That's your ball game. 42, when he can hit the flats, really started to expand this defense horizontally. And when the defense expands horizontally, you can naturally expand some stuff vertically. Don't you ever tell me Lamar Jackson is not a good quarterback. I will go off the rails on that. He's a very, very intelligent human being and a pretty good thrower of the football. We saw that one mistake early, but then he came through, and this is fun. Congratulations, Ravens fan, man. I had so much fun hanging out with you just because of their offensive scheme. I think this is for sure my AFC team. I try not to have a rooting interest, and that all might change next week when I watch some Bills tape or something. I don't know, but I'm not really a fan. But congratulations, y'all. You've been so welcoming to me. You've been very, very kind people. Congrats, you've earned this. Smart play by the Ravens to just get the heck off of the field right now and get into the locker room and enjoy this before you get yourself in any sort of trouble, and away you go. Congrats, Ravens fans. That was as much fun as I was hoping it was going to be. So thanks for hanging with me. Really, really appreciate y'all. Follow these guys. Give those guys some money if you feel so inclined to. Get Marcus Peters off the field, and hopefully you get to see y'all next week.